Ohio gozaimashita, children. Vashi Claus coming down your chimney with a very special surprise. For the longest time, I'd wanted to start a podcast series that dealt with some of the realities of my fellow players, not just for Devil May Cry, but for games in general. So while it's still in its infancy, Muscle Memories is on its way to detailing the practice and in some cases the business that drives some people out there to dedicate themselves to the games they play. I can hear the panties flooding from here. I think I can hear the panties flooding from here. Truth be told, I was hoping for a more formal introduction to Muscle Memories once some actual visual assets had been created, but as of now, the commission is out, and considering the artwork is being crafted by Dax, when it arrives, it's going to arrive. However, some things are more important, so with that out of the way, my guest today is RK. He is a game design student, soon to resume work in Canada. However, for the purposes of this Gamescom, he was the best community representative and content producer that we all could have asked for. For the entire duration of Gamescom, RK was doing one of two things: playing Devil May Cry 5 or waiting to play Devil May Cry 5. He'd stand in the line for hours at a time, all for another crack at the game. Whenever he had downtime, RK spoke to the other Gamescom attendees, giving advice on how to break down and internalize the system they were playing. When the arena closed for the day, RK returned to his Airbnb to upload GoPro footage of as many playthroughs as he could salvage, and together with fellow attendee Daedron, who's going to be appearing on the cast soon, gave us literal hours of consecutive DMC5 gameplay to break down on our end. And for all that time spent, RK didn't have a Gamescom. For his efforts, he got to get hands-on with DMC5 47 times. And for that, I ask you to join me in thanking him, either on his Twitter at RevoltHell or in the comments of his various demo playthroughs. Links will obviously be in the description. Anything to show appreciation for the service that he has performed for us experiencing Gamescom from the spectator seats. And now, I have some questions for him. So, enough setup, let's get to the fun part. My fellow Americans, the DMC5 era of content production begins now. Let's get it.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is, you guys know me as RK or Revolt Hell on Twitter, and I'm finally here talking to Vash TSB.
Hello, you have many names. RK, Richard Kim, also
Soundmatch, Spartan Rami.
Yeah, Spartan
Reddit.
Rami.
Yeah.
We're going in. Got a lot of them.
Yeah, we're going through a rebranding right now.
Are you going to settle for RK?
No, originally I kind of wanted to switch to Spartan Rami, but then I think I'll stick with Revolt Hell because a lot of people know me by that name now, so I'll just be like, well, I'll just put RK and Revolt Hell together, and I'll just be like, God damn it, whatever, what's done is done. I should have changed everything before Gamescom, but what's done's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but
so, yeah.
We were talking about... what were we talking about? We were talking about, so supposedly the Devil Breakers that you play with in the Gamescom build are unupgraded.
Not unupgraded, but they're not fully upgraded.
Yeah,
I think, like in the old, I don't know if they had this in DMC4. No, they didn't. Like in DMC Devil May Cry, you know how you can get like a level 2 of like every version?
Yeah.
Like we don't have that. Like it has all the base skills, but it's like the basic level of those skills, like the Stamen Ray and Petal Ray and whatnot.
Please make it so that like everything in the trailer has just been like the level 1 variants, and it's about to get fucking crazy when the game drops. Ooh, I need more anime. I need so much more anime.
Yeah, because like in the PAX stream that just happened, I think Itsuno, he said that his style is to do chuni, and I think in Japanese culture, it's like what teenagers think are cool. Yeah. And specifically teenagers, like the punchline, the rocket arm thing where you can jump on and use it as a Nero's Tony Hawk skateboarding. Yeah, that's what they're going for. So I think it's possible that we might even see more abilities of these Devil Breakers.
Well, it's weird because some things like Overture's battery, I have a couple questions about that, but starting at the
Sure.
top, how much Devil May Cry have you played before you went to Gamescom? Because between you and Daedron,
Mm-hmm.
your gameplay has been easily the most useful for people who are experienced with these games, because both of you are displaying levels of comfort and like high level or like breaching high
Advanced
level
level, yeah.
knowledge of what players actually use when they, dedicate themselves to this shit. So,
Yeah.
did you like how long have you been like aware and playing DMC in general?
Well, I'm right now 22 years old, and I've been playing Devil May Cry ever since I was, I think, 5 years old.
Hmm.
Back in, it was like back in 2001. My cousin, he bought the game as soon as it came out, and I started playing it. And then I've been playing this game for, well, this franchise for 17 years. And since DMC was the very first game I experienced as a kid, I always compared other action games to Devil May Cry. But to this day, not even God of War, not even Bayonetta has been able to reach that sort of feeling that I get when I successfully do what I want in Devil May Cry games.
Hmm.
But um, as far as learning combos to do jump canceling and stuff like that, I only really found out about it during 2012.
Hmm.
But because back then, this was like a long time ago. This is like 2004, 2005. There's this video made by a friend of mine called Kyle. It went like viral. It was like, I think right now it has like, even to this day, it has like 3.4 million views. And he was doing these like moves in the air, and I was just like, how do you stop Helmbreaker in the air? How do you like continuously do Killer Bee with Beowulf again and
Hmm.
again and again? It's like there's something called jump canceling. I'm just like, what the fuck is jump canceling? Because
Right.
I was pulling off triple S combos until without doing any of this advanced stuff for like a long time. I think until like 2007. Even in when Devil May Cry 4 came out in 2008, and I never really got into jump canceling. I was strolling just fine getting triple S without jump canceling, but after watching like His One Nightmare and talking to a lot of other like Devil May Cry players, like there's this one guy. I didn't talk to him much, but I think he passed away. His name was Dango, and
Yeah.
he told me, "Yo, trust me, like you have to be able to like jump cancel if you want to do all this awesome shit." And then since like I never really had the courage to do it, and only until like when I think DMC Devil May Cry came out in 2013, I was just like, well, I think I'll stick with like Devil May Cry 4. You know what I mean? Like I'll give DMC Devil May Cry a shot, but I think I'll stick with Devil May Cry 4. And after I started to learn how to jump cancel and stuff, I was just like, yo, this feeling I get when I'm doing all this advanced shit, like that is the feeling that I've been like, that is the reason why I first played this game. And yeah, so I've been playing advanced like in more advanced levels for about like 4 years, but my total time playing Devil May Cry has been 17 years.
And going into Gamescom, did you like because for those of you who don't know, Richard, you're you're a game designer now working on your own game, but you're also going to a university to study game design. Is that correct?
Pretty much, because yeah, that's correct. Because I think everybody can kind of tell Itsuno-san is kind of burnt out from making all these Devil May Cry games. It's not that he doesn't enjoy. I'm sure he loves every experience, even including DMC Devil May Cry. But I think like there needs to be someone else that's gonna be able to pull the franchise to like new directions and so on and so forth. And I don't know, I just feel like I want to be a part of like that. If I was born a generation earlier, I just send my resume to Capcom right now, but unfortunately because like my age and my lack of experience, I'm not able to join. But whoever is going to make the next Devil May Cry, I hope that I can be a part of that. That's essentially my goal.
So that's where most of your free time or just time and energy in general is focused right now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So did you like set down any like a session or anything like that before you headed over to Cologne to, practice the game at all? 4, 3, the reboot, any of them, just to try to get yourself in the headspace?
The plan was originally to do that so I could get a feel, but essentially, I had sort of like a family tragedy right before Gamescom, and I had to head to like somewhere to take care of that stuff. And as soon as that ended, like 2 days later, then it was Gamescom. So I was really busy. But after the first day at Gamescom, I did boot up Devil May Cry 4 for a little bit, and immediately I could tell, like, after playing Devil May Cry 5, everything is so fluid. Everything transitions really, really, really well, and everything from down to the button layout and how the game mechanics are redesigned, because it looks like a Devil May Cry game. It looks like Devil May Cry 4, but if you play the game, it actually feels like a next generation Devil May Cry. Like, for example, when you have your sword out with Nero, he does his running animation with the sword.
Yeah,
when you do the dodging with the R1,
along.
yeah, when you do the R1 left or right with the jump to do the dodge, it's actually a sidestep with a sword.
Yeah, it's
but
state
if you
dependent.
pull your gun, yeah, it's state dependent. And the thing is, with the dodge roll with the gun, which is the dodge roll we're all used to, you can shoot while dodge rolling, because that way you can have the tip of your thumb on the gun button and the bottom of your thumb on the jump button, and you can tap those two of those buttons while tilting the stick and shoot and harass the enemy while you're dodging their attacks. So the game design, the animation, the state machine organization for Devil May Cry 5 it's on a completely different level to the Devil May Cry games. Like, the only reason you would want to go back to Devil May Cry 4 after playing number 5 is just to see the level of quality of difference, like just how much they've improved. It's that big.
So you're saying that I don't know. See, I'm working on a video about this right now, and to me, granted, I've not played the game, so there's just, from what I'm hearing, 5 isn't 4. Not in a negative way, but in the way that it should be, that it's a standalone game with its own physics engine, with its own internal governing rules and all that shit, that separates it from 4.
The physics machine is a completely different beast. It looks like the same, because Nero has the same combos. If you look at the Red Queen, there are no new combos. But the way that the certain inputs at certain timings that you can do, it's all been redesigned from the ground up. And for example, for the Exceed, now if you fail an Exceed but you still press the Exceed button, you get like 1/3 of an Exceed charge. So it still rewards you for trying, but it doesn't give you the full charge.
I see.
And Exceed, when I calculated because I was recording on a GoPro and I was shooting at 60 frames per second, when I look at all my Exceed timings, the reason I was missing them all was because I was actually hitting them too early. And I thought at first, well, if I look at the speed between Devil May Cry 4, Devil May Cry 5, and Devil May Cry 4 Turbo, Devil May Cry 5 is faster than Devil May Cry 4's normal speed. So, but it's a little bit slower than Devil May Cry 4 Turbo speed.
Right.
So I thought maybe I'm having a timing difficulty error. But even with that in mind, and I tried to adjust it, I kept missing it. And then I realized, what if I time it a little bit later? And I realized that you have about like 5 frames extra to hit, which 5 out of 6, like 3 or like 3 to 5, so around 4 frames extra to hit the Exceed button, which I calculated counts to about 0.1333456 whatever seconds. And although it's a really small, like it's just above 1/10 of a second, it's more than enough to help even newcomers to really master the Exceed after about like maybe 20-30 hours of gameplay.
And is that X-Act or is that Max-Act? Because they didn't let you guys...
Oh, no, that's X-Act. They
didn't let you guys exceed level 3 in this demo. At least to the best of my knowledge, because people were just running around revving and they capped out at 2. Kept doing it like, what's going on, boss? And no, it's just not in this one.
Nope. Max Act is also not in the demo, because in previous games, I think... correct me if I'm wrong, but in Devil May Cry 4, you couldn't buy Max Act unless you had Exceed 3, right? Or could you still Max Act and only get 2 gauges?
I'm pretty sure that's an independent thing. I'd need to check now that you bring it up, but I'm almost positive that's how that works.
But yeah, in any case, depending, I'd say for the max act timing, I'd say that it still work in the same way. Like it'll have a different timing from X act, but when it comes to X act, there is no excuse now. Everyone's like, oh, Nero's for noobs because Dante's like he's the advanced, more higher level gameplay. I'm just like, well, there's no excuse now. You should be able to X act every attack when you use Nero.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to see that they're actual, because people were speculating for a while that they were going to widen that gap just a little bit, or at least that's what Chaser Tech wanted to have happen.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
see how they actually change the X or Max Act timings. I don't know, because
I think yeah, the max act will still stay like you know how the max act timing is like there's the max act timing, there's the narrow attack swing, and then there's the X act, right? In terms
right.
of the input space. But I think they're gonna still keep that like design philosophy, but I think max act will still be kind of like you'll still need to master that. Like it'll take more time, maybe 60 hours, something like that, to learn every attack.
So overall, you got the opportunity to play DMC 5. You said 47 times over the
Oh
course
yeah,
of how long was
the 4 days.
Gamescom? The 4-day event?
Um, well, it was 5 days, but for public, it was from the 22nd to like the 26th, I
Was
think.
that all you did?
Yeah,
So you didn't get a you basically didn't get a Gamescom. You got DMC 5.
pretty much. I traveled all the way from Hong Kong to go to uh, Cologne in Germany just for
Hmm.
Devil May Cry 5. Even the Xbox people, they're like, well, other people need to play the game. Why don't you try like Kingdom Hearts 3 is right over there? I'm just like, no, I
This,
came here for this game.
yeah.
And yeah, I think they were really touched by like how much because right after I finish every queue, they just see me at the back of the line.
Hmm.
And actually, on I think when did Gamescom start? It was the 23rd, the day after the start. So it started on the 22nd, Thursday on the 23rd, right?
Hmm.
Um, the line was almost 400 meters. Like after I waited for 2 hours to play in, when I looked at the back of the line, it was like 400 meters to reach the back of the line,
Hmm.
and I had to wait. That day I could only play twice
Hmm.
because the second time I had to wait for a 6 hour queue.
Jesus.
The memes are not an exaggeration. It's not a Photoshop. It really happened.
No, I believe
And
it.
yeah. So the next day on Friday, which was the 24th, there's this green platform thing where they had all the Xbox games.
Mhm.
Whenever people would come up and go like, "Could I play Devil May Cry 5?" They would like shoo them. They would be like, "Sorry, come back in like maybe an hour, and then when there's space, we'll let you in." But when I went to the back of their line, they're like, "Oh, you already played, like play something else." And then I just be like, "Well, I'll just wait here when there's space." And then they were like, like they were, what one of the people told me was that I was like that. I think there's a Shiba Inu dog, like Hachiko, right? Yeah, they're like, "Yo, this guy's like Hachiko for this game. Just let him join the queue after like 30 minutes of waiting, right?"
Hmm.
And I just kept going from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I think only on Friday I came late. I
Hmm.
came at like 9 a.m. and I started lining up at 10. But aside from that one day on Friday, I pretty much woke up at like 7:30 a.m. and I just went straight to Gamescom.
Wow.
Yep.
That's fucking.
For like
That's that OD dedication, and there's a reason why I'm very, grateful to have you here, because you really did do like an incredible service for the player base.
yeah, because like actually I had this experience with DMC Devil May Cry.
Hmm.
We have this thing in Hong Kong called Computer Games Festival,
Hmm.
and they actually brought DMC Devil May Cry over, and I did the Arbiter spam move, the drop move, on the head of the succubus, and it went from like B to triple S rank in 5 seconds. I
Oh,
think
that was
the
you.
GIF spread. Yeah, that was me.
Huh.
And when I looked at all the journalism sites, they like called me a liar. They called me that maybe there were multiple hitboxes and I was misportraying the game. And I knew that the journalists, although they need us for like to click and watch the advertisements to get like, their revenue, because everybody needs to live and eat, and it's not that we hate journalists, it's just that we just wish they did a better job. Everyone needs a job. Everyone needs to eat, sleep, have a place to live, give pocket money to their kids. Everybody needs to do that. But to call me a liar and to call me a hater, that's a little bit sick. So I knew that they would try to do this again with Devil May Cry 5. So I made sure to I made sure to show up at Gamescom to actually do this. So it's not just a service to the Devil May Cry community, because those guys tried to splinter us, and even now the damage of like their incredibly vindictive, vicious journalism still permeates through all the Devil May Cry communities, like on Reddit, 4chan, Discord, everything. Even now people are fighting. I'm just like, that's so messed up. So I actually came to do something that hopefully might bring us a little bit together. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's very wholesome.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, you like overall, I cannot stress enough that you did. You and Daedron, but you more so simply by volumetrics did you just something that nobody else really could have. And you also were there to help out players who were, playing the demo. You were communicating with people who were in queue and things like that, just to help other people who were getting their first time in. That's a very, very admirable thing for you to do.
Honestly, I think that, like, if I were part of Capcom, I would be angry if no one did this for the customers, from my perspective. But I'm not a part of Capcom, not yet anyway. But shout out to Dataron, dude. If it weren't for his videos, because you playing and you watching your own gameplay is one thing, but you learning from another person that's doing it at the same time, it's because of that perspective I was able to get that S rank and get that photo. And actually, that's so funny because you mentioned about the waiting people in line. There were not a lot of hardcore DMC fans. They were all online trying to like search for footage and everything. A lot of so-called casual people showed up, and they at the beginning of every game demo, there was a choice to select auto assist.
Yeah.
They knew to turn it on because all it takes is just one D press and A on the Xbox.
Right.
But they all purposely. The interesting is that they all chose not to. One person was about to choose it, but then he actually turned it off and then started the demo. And I think that at Gamescom, I taught maybe 100 something people how to do caliber, because most people don't even know the input for shuffle and caliber. They're like, what the hell does it mean move the stick back to forward? I'm like, you have to move the stick down and then up. Because it sounds simple once you know how, but for me, it took me 3 years to learn how to do that movement. Because I was dreaming about how the hell do I do that movement, and when I figured out in my dream, I just woke up and I tried it straight away, and I was just like, holy shit, it took me 3 fucking years, like in 2011, to fucking learn how to do shuffle and caliper. I've been playing for so long, I feel like a total fuck up. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I was actually really surprised because a lot of these casual players, they watched all the Donguri videos. They've watched Chaser Tech, they've watched Turtle Sensei, Michelle Gunn, Huang, RS Fly, like they've watched all of them and they want to know how to do these things. And the thing I'm kind of worried about in Devil May Cry 5 is whether they have like a system to help people really learn how to do that. Like there are YouTube videos, there is the training mode that was just confirmed at the PAX stream, but I don't know, I feel like if secret missions were more designed to like in Secret Mission 3 for Devil May Cry 4, or maybe it was Secret Mission 4. You know how you have to stay in the air? You have to do snatch and you have to do the buster down 5 times so that you could like learn the input. I think if they maybe not through secret missions, but through like overlay missions, like you're doing mission 2, 3, 4, but they give you extra missions you can do on the side, kind of like side quests, and that will give them more red orbs or maybe a yellow orb or something like that to help them with their playthrough. I think if there was a mechanic like that, I think a lot of casuals might actually feel less intimidated to go to start playing Devil May Cry and jump into Devil May Cry 5. So that's one thing I really want to ask Matt and Itsuno-san when I visit again on TGS. Yeah.
So you'll be you're going to TGS too? Yeah, you said
actually,
you were.
Originally I wanted to go to PAX, but then like I told you, I lost my passport, so unfortunately I wasn't able to do that.
Damn. Yeah. Well, but in any case, going back to the actual game itself at 5, there's one thing that I want to clarify for anybody who hasn't had hands-on experience with it. There was never a point when you were playing the game that you were like giving an input and something unexpected happened. Like
No,
everything was
when you
always
see the lock-on
intentional.
switches, yeah, on my gameplay videos, when you see the lock-on switches, that's all me clicking the buttons. I'm testing whether you can do caliber, switch to the lock-on right after doing it, and whether it will caliber towards that enemy. That's me testing out like all these different like what ifs and whatnot. Yeah,
I actually think I
it
saw
doesn't do that.
Daedron do that with Shuffle, where he started out Shuffle on one enemy, switched lock on, and then it finished. It did the actual attack portion going in the direction of the other demon.
Yeah, it's because of that video I tried to figure out, is it possible to do it with caliber and whatnot? Is it possible to do it after snatching an enemy? Like, that was just us kind of like fucking around and trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, but it does not switch a target. It only switches a target when you've killed it. That's the only time it automatically switches a target.
Right. Well, and talking about actual things that are specific and endemic to the demo, we're keeping questions pretty broad right now. I'm going to go into like the weeb shit later on in the cast, but there are just people who are looking for just general information about the demo or opinions about what you played. And I'm actually curious about this myself, because I'm personally leaning much more towards Gerbera than Overture. Overture, I don't really necessarily have a problem with it. It's just Gerbera
it's way more versatile.
Yes.
It's a way, yeah.
You
can use it in the air, on the ground. It has summon ray, it has pedal ray, it has like you can. I don't know if you watched this video of mine, but I did a really quick, simple combo where I did a reverse. I root spin an enemy in the air. I did a reverse split, and then I did the Gerbera jockey. The move jockey is when you jump around and stuff. I did it backwards, and Nero actually backflips and kicks the demon that I was attacking in the air that fell down. And yeah, like Gerbera has attack properties as well as parry properties, but the iframes at the beginning of Gerbera are very small. You have to know what you're doing, because if you try to escape and it's not within those iframes, you will get punished. You will lose the arm, you will get punished heavily. You will lose the arm, and you'll get damaged.
So your overall leaning, just Gerbera is what you would prefer of the two. Obviously, we only have 2 of the 8 standard Devil Breakers.
Even after watching that pack stream and seeing all the other Devil Breakers, I so far I have not seen anything that's made me go like, I might make the switch from Gerbera to something else. I think because Gerbera is basically a trickster and a kind of very small, weak version of Royal Guard. At the same time. So I think a lot of new players, they'll probably be sticking with Gerbera all the time.
Well, especially since there's no limit on jockey. This is the thing that's caught my eye immediately, is that there are players who are in like low to the ground situations capable of jockeying 4 and 5 times in succession without needing to either touch the ground or jump cancel in order to refresh their air dashes. And this is a full 8-way dash, right?
This is because the way they're doing it is in Devil May Cry 4, they didn't want you to be moving around a lot because like they want to keep
that shit didn't work.
Yeah, that shit didn't work. So they were just like, you know what? Let's just go fucking full ham, like you saw with the Punchline skateboard Devil Breaker. They're like going full on. They're like just going full out on everything. But there is the cooldown for the jockey, the air dash, is not whether you're on the ground or not. Even when you're on the ground, you can go upwards and you can keep going up. Like you'll eventually fall down to the ground, but you can keep going up. But you can get hit in between those jockeys if you're not careful. So it rewards players who do want to air dash away from enemies or attack them at the same time if they know what they're doing. So it takes a higher skill level to use it properly. And if you just spam it, you'll get fucked immediately. I tried spamming it in when I was trying to fight the boss. I got fucked very easily.
So then
so it rewards skill.
What's the argument for Overture then? So there's one thing that I actually want to know straight away, is that I'm noticing that when sometimes Nero can use battery to launch a demon, can use battery to knock a demon down, or can just sort of use it like Gerbera's Force Push, where it's a straight up like normal knockback situation. How are you?
All of those is the same move. It's all contextual.
It's contextual.
Yes. So if I grab the enemy, like there's a fly enemy. When I grabbed it towards me, I was above it, which means the enemy is under it. So the game calculates the distance between your current / or your last locked on enemy, and then when you press that battery, it calculates whether it's going down, whether it's going to go on the x-axis of Nero, so that's like in front of him, behind, left, or right, or whether it's going to go above him. Like, it calculates all of that, along with the camera position.
So it's choosing that based on... Wait, is it choosing it based off... Like, the animation is selected based on which direction it's already going? Or it's, like, selecting the launcher version if Nero is below the demon when he goes to press Overture?
What you said second time. If Nero is under a demon, he will Overture upwards. If he's locked on to a demon or he locked on, the last locked on enemy is below him, he's going to do it on the ground. If it's straight ahead of him, he will do it far. That raises the question, okay, let's say the enemy is in front of Nero, but he's slightly above him in the air. Is he going to do the push, or is he going to do the uppercut?
Yeah. Well,
If he's a little bit further away from Nero, there are times where he will do the push instead. But if you high roller, for example, the game knows, okay, so he used the high roller move, so the enemy is above Nero. So when he presses Overture, then it will automatically cue the uppercut.
That's interesting, but also slightly disappointing. I was hoping for a situation where I could actually command those, but that may actually be something in the game for an upgrade. I don't know. Or it could not be.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, maybe if you did an R1 back circle, then it goes up. Or if you do R1 back circle and the enemy's below you, it goes down.
Yeah.
But the game actually knows kinda-ish what you want to do when it comes to the Overture battery. And I think once you get your hands on it and you get a feel for it, you'll be able to truly decide whether it's a downgrade or upgrade to you. Because when I asked a lot of people who's played Devil May Cry 4, who were lining up at Gamescom, they also felt like the same thing. Oh, I wish I could control it. No, I like it better this way. So it's about 50-50, but all of them agreed one thing: it's fucking cool.
Yeah. Overall.
Yeah.
So,
but Gerbera though. Oh my god, Petal Ray is
fucking Gerbera though.
Yeah, dude.
I ain't even really fucking. I'm. Call me old fashioned, but I would probably just. Well, okay, that's a lie. I would probably just run 4 Gerberas, and just Petal Ray, and then just keep the last one for air dashes.
Yeah, and the thing is, although it's more dangerous to use it, it's more powerful to use it in smaller rooms, so it makes people think, okay, if I'm going to a corridor or something like that, I should take Gerbera with me. But actually, even in open areas, if you're smart about your positioning of your enemies, like you streak and you hit them away to the corners, they will bounce around the corners of that thing. And actually, the more the lasers bounce around, their life count will go up until it hits a cap, and the damage it will do will also increase. That's why on my channel, you can see there are 2 instances where I shoot Gerbera into the Goliath, and his health like melts more than halfway. It takes like at least 60%.
Right.
Yeah, there are also times where when you shoot the Petal Ray inside the church after Goliath hits and knocks down the roof, where it doesn't do that much damage. Because I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but Petal Ray is not random. It shoots the beams towards the last locked on enemy or the current locked on enemy, and you can actually guess based on the first shot, the angle of the first shot, where the beams are gonna go. It is not random. It's basically the Nero version of Lucifer.
So what you're telling me is that where the bullets are spawning from are consistent, And you can use
Yes.
you can use it to project like bounce trajectory and all that shit in the same way that you could like the baseball in Lethal League. Okay,
Yep.
I fucks with it.
In my recently recovered videos, because some of my videos from my GoPro was damaged. I think in the room
The
I shot the
upstairs
pedal
room
ray
with the
laser.
Hellcana?
No. Oh yeah, the Hellcana with the Hellcana. Just a recently uploaded one. Like I think it was earlier today. I shot it's the number 14, the drunk gameplay one, because I had a fuckload of beers. Yeah. I was at the corner on the very left side of the room, and then I shot the pedal ray downwards. And then at first it was here I actually realized it's not random. I was just like, it's fucking random, isn't it? How the hell are you supposed to control this thing? Then when I started to see the lasers bounce around, I realized, wait a second, it's not random.
Yeah.
So I streak the enemy to launch him in the air, because I could kind of tell that there was going to be 1 or 2 lasers that were going to catch him in the air. And all of the lasers actually like just cut up the demon all at once, and then it made a pretty good final shot. I think I'll link you the video right now on Discord. It has the timestamp too as well.
So while you're
then you can
while you're looking at that, overall you're geared towards more Gerbera, but somebody actually had like a question for you. We'll be littering out like viewer questions and things of that nature throughout the course of this, just going as they come up naturally. So something that something that's a bit of an air of mystery regarding the game is the way that Devil Breakers are actually spawned. But someone wants to know if, like, given the fact that they're sort of littered around everywhere, did you, in all your courses of play, actually incorporate the fact that you could count on, like, spawns of certain arms in, an area? So you could actually commit to that. There was, like, a live strategy decision being made there.
Yes.
Okay.
There is, at least in the demo, which arms were available and where at what part of the mission was all consistent. And I feel like although the final areas will change, like the final, like what arm is where, that will change, that philosophy will remain consistent at the game at launch. And the thing is, a lot of people just ask me as well, why didn't they just put the Devil Breakers on the D-pad? That way, like, Nero's combo potentials would be, like, insane.
Well, and
like,
also
you'll be able to pedal ray and overture and all this stuff
while
switching without losing anything. Yeah,
it's also fair to keep in mind that for people who are still worried about that for whatever reason, it's important to keep in mind that that could be an upgrade. It's like, I understand and I'm perfectly cool with it as the way it is. However, there's no reason like why that can't be the case. Now, there was something from a player, Mid Inferno, who like took a series of unlisted move demonstrations from Capcom's YouTube channel, where they're in like the space training mode, what some people are suspecting to be the training mode. And he listed that R2 was a way to cycle through Devil Breakers without breaking them. I don't know how accurate that is. Nobody else has confirmed this, by the by.
It's not in the demo. That's also the only thing I can confirm. I did try to do it. I saw the video for Mid Inferno. I saw that. I tried to do it. At least it was not in the demo. However, I've also seen videos where the person had Overture selected and Gerbera was the next Devil Breaker, but he was using a Gerbera special move with Overture. But that was in a final build because I saw a Buster Arm in that build. But I think, because they say it's the D-pad has no, do you know, like in the tutorial message
it's listed
thing?
as unused, yeah.
No, that, I mean, like, is it really the D-pad?
Yeah, the D-pad is listed as unused, just like RT.
Oh, no. But then, yeah, this is the thing that kind of makes me curious because actually R2, it's possible that that is the case. But then in the demo, it was not the case. So when that's just something we're gonna have to check out when the final game or like a more completed build demo comes out. We can check that out. But then what I can say is it should be possible because I saw someone with Overture use a Gerbera special move.
Yeah,
in like a Japanese game demo.
It's difficult to say how many, and I don't mean to use this, term in a negative context, because that's how it's going to
Yeah,
sound. That's not how I mean it. It's tough to know how many types of bugs or just unintended interactions are going to be occurring through this, because there was an instance where you, like, eventually you figured out what caused it, but
yeah,
Nero's
yeah,
charge shot system color up. Like, you did an
yeah,
action to reload it, to basically load up your charge shots. You cancel the
yeah,
loading animation late, but it still gave you the bullets for doing so. So it's not like
yeah,
a full commitment situation, but on its surface, it looked like you just got bullets for doing nothing.
yeah.
So it's
But
things
that
like,
took like quite advanced input.
but yeah, and things like that are going to take a while to come out. So, yeah, but overall, though, there is something that I would like to ask. There were a couple of times when it looked like the uh,
Hmm.
the the animation smoothing system was almost like freaking out, and it was giving Nero like a couple of jumbled in between frames, and I
I
was
think one of them you're talking about is like when I think Daedron, one of his videos where he like high rollers, he splits and then jumps right after, and then the state changes to the horizontal jump late. I think because usually in the old Devil May Cry games, a lot of animation has like these snap animations. Like when you shoot a DT shot to a frost in the air, it like has this animation where it gets hit and it just stays in the air and it just looks like it's like fucking dying from a spasm.
hmm,
But I think for here they have these transitional frames for really technical sort of inputs, and that stops like really weird animations from coming out, because part of the reason why Ninja Theory's jump canceling feels so floaty and weird is because they like after they did all the inputs, it really feels like they just added in jump canceling. Like they didn't design it with jump canceling in mind. But then in here, like the jump cancel does feel kind of heavy, and by that I mean like when you jump on them, there is this slight pulse when you jump on them, and
you mean hit
um
stun?
yeah, hit stop. Like no, it's not. I wouldn't call it a hit stop because it doesn't stop enemies from doing continuing their animation. It doesn't interrupt them or stumble them, but it does like
Does it
there's
prevent them
something
from
that pauses.
falling?
I don't know if it's the game that pauses. I'm gonna have to keep checking out the footage, but I think it's actually Nero that kind of like he stays in the jumping state, but his kind of like input kind of freezes a little bit
So it's not
unless you do
accepting.
like shooting. Yeah, no, it is accepting, but then I don't know how to explain it. It's just it feels heavy. Like I'm really sorry I couldn't explain it that well, but the best way to say it is that like everything stops for like what seems like half a moment, and that gives you enough time to chain in your next input. So it's like they designed jump canceling to be used in combos in mind. Like that's how they designed the enemy step system in this game.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also in previous Devil May Cry games, when you do the jump, you know how all the characters they do this front flip, right?
Hmm.
In here, it's like DMC Devil May Cry, where Nero just like he jumps, but he doesn't flip. But the air hike does the flip. Yeah.
Oh. Oh, okay. I get. So that's even with lock on, because that's dictated
Yes.
by. Oh, that's. Hmm.
Yeah. And the reason directional inputs will be easier in this game is because the game design has been like it's been redone completely. It looks like Devil May Cry 4, but the best way I would say this is it's like a second Devil May Cry reboot upset with the story of the original games. That's the best way to describe this game because it's actually like a level higher than Devil May Cry 4. Like it's a whole game design wise, it's a generation higher above Devil May Cry 4 because the camera and Nero is always looking like within a semicircle. I think a lot of people have noticed this as well of the enemy. So no matter what, the directional inputs will be like 85% consistent because the way the camera is structured, because it always leans to having the back of Nero facing towards the camera, and
Hmm. Okay.
either the back or the front. It doesn't really like the sides, because sides is where you have to streak by doing R1 left stick towards the right and triangle and vice versa.
Right.
It always tries to make it you're either streaking by doing R1 straight triangle or R1 straight back because Nero's facing the screen. Like so yeah, the game design here and the architecture and the physics system and the input system is a totally different beast. I actually can't wait till you guys get your hands on it to just feel the difference, because it's actually insane. There's a reason I lined up and I actually asked them if I could play like a few extra times when I queued up, and they actually let me, because yeah, every time I played they just like stopped looking at everyone else, and I didn't know it, but they were like all the Xbox people there, they were like watching my game screen. Yeah.
So then, it's sort of tough.
A lot of info.
Yeah, it's tough to process, like because it's, and I don't fault you at all for like having trouble describing what you mean by heavy. It is something that needs to be felt in order to be understood on a deep level. So,
all I can say is, for jump canceling in this game, chaining combos are gonna feel really fun. It's not like Ninja Theory's like really easily jump canceling, but the best way to describe it is, if you're just spamming buttons and you're like, oh, I just jumped off enemy, I'm jump canceling, it won't feel good. Like if you've planned out a combo in your head and then you try to do it, like for split, although I'm not talking about the input, I'm talking about like when to jump cancel. If you jump cancel after the hit connects, like we mentioned earlier, if you jump cancel and go to an arrow wave right after that, the enemy won't go down. But if you do a split and you wait for like literally 1/4 of a second later and you jump cancel, Nero will stay in the air, but the enemy will be sent down to the ground. Like they've manually programmed this. I can tell because I'm doing game design. Like they manually programmed this and they keep these things in mind. So that's what I meant. Like it's this game will be on a completely different level. I don't think anybody, most people will go back to Devil May Cry 4 after this. Yeah.
Well, so to clarify for some, I think what is being said in regards to the split not necessarily doing knockdown immediately is, it sounds similar to how like jump canceling Nero's like level 2 and level 3 calibers are, where there's or like the hitbox is active, but it's a different type of hitbox, if that makes sense. So there's hit stun hitboxes and there's displacement hitboxes. Let's break them down into those categories. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it sounds like regular split has like early hit stun frames, or like an early hit stop box, then it triggers into a knockdown later.
Yes. And those hitboxes turn off and on at certain the hitbox for the hit stun turns on early, and then about like less than a second later, the hitbox for sending the enemy goes down, and then the force sends the enemy down, and you can jump off that. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Because that's sort of similar to how it already worked and it was established in previous games. Or, on the alternative, it could be that the knockdown box is just deeper in the Red Queen, and it's waiting for you to actually, like, get to the point to where that portion of the model is actually that deep in the demon. I don't know. There could be multiple ways that they actually handled that.
Yeah, they're definitely... I'm not on the dev team, so I wouldn't know, but they did one of those things.
We ain't got press kits.
Yeah, I wish. I wish, because actually part of the reason I was so excited. Yeah, because part of the reason I was so excited that you contacted me was, I think like a year and a half ago, you were working on this project called like Devil May Cry University. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking the exact same thing, like for Devil May Cry 5. Like it'd be perfect to have a mode or like a video series where we go from like really basic canceling to like more advanced combos and stuff. And I was just thinking, yo, didn't Vash TSB say something about that? And
As
then
of-
right after I was watching that video, you contacted me on Discord, actually.
As of now, I've been thinking of how to approach it because, like, I don't know. Between my work and my university schedule, things aren't really allowing for a whole lot of time for a big video series to be done for DMC 4. What I'm intending of doing, if we get a playable demo, is to potentially start Devil May Cry University then, and then once the game is actually out, have not just technique tutorials, but also just a catalog of technical information, like.
Yeah,
so let's say
like certain frames for jump canceling at certain, like with certain moves, like split and caliber, like and so on.
But not even like in DMC 4, like I'll just be fucking around in a room like the streets in Mission 17, and I'll stumble upon something that has potential for use, like the fences blocking Lucifer pins. If you can get Lucifer like pin up to spawn that low. Then you can use that as a solid point for the explosion boxes or things of that nature. And it seems as though 5 is going to have this type of like environmental interplay into player and character interaction, just like 3 and 4 have had. So being able to catalog that shit will, you know, be an alternative and a thing that I can do then too. So, yeah, that's sort of the plan for DMC Academy as it stands now. But, oh shit, what were we even on about before that?
Oh, we were talking about the
we were talking about the split. Yeah, like it's encouraging overall because it feels like a continuation of the mindset that 3 and 4 had.
Yeah.
And that's encouraging to see, even though the game looks and feels, or looks like it feels so very different. So we get to see, you know, a game that has just the same potential that a good DMC should. So
there's
so much shit to
there was
cover.
something that said like
Honestly,
that, but it was grayed out.
Oh, yeah. I need to talk to you about this. So, you didn't get to rebind your control scheme during the 5 demo, right? We know that rebinding... Yeah. We know that someone leaked the menu of 5 that lets you rebind controls, so your boy is not running default. Once again, we in there with the attack button on X, jump on circle, fuck with me, Poppy. We in there. But when you held up the Xbox One pad, which you did multiple times throughout the course of your play, your grip just looked jumbled because of like because of the placement of the shoot button still. Now, there's one question that I have in regards to color up, or as it's like most people will know it as charge shot. So Nero does the animation to load up the guns. You have to hold down the shoot button for that, correct?
Yes, and at least in the demo, if you let go, the first shot will fire. But the second...
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was holding it. But then when I tried it on a different machine, it was fine. Like I didn't hold down, and I let go, and it didn't fire. So I'm just like, well, these are Xbox One controllers. So there are times where I didn't even put my finger anywhere near the LB button, and it broke. And I'm just like, huh? But then I realized actually, like, maybe the tip of my second left finger, it like tilted up a little bit, and that small movement caused a breakaway. And when I tested it on that same machine that day, it broke. So I was just like, the arm broke, and I was just like, oh, that's probably why. And then I lined up again for another 1 hour, 30 minutes, or 2 hours sometimes, and I tried it on a different machine. It was perfect. It worked perfectly fine. So I think it was a controller thing. That's why I was holding the gun button and moving the camera with my thumb. I was like, it's not like they would make us... Because the whole point of holding square and not having to hold it and having your bullet stay charged is that you wouldn't have to put your finger on the square button. So why would they make it so that you would have to keep holding it if you didn't want to lose your first shot? That doesn't make sense. And when I tried it on a different machine, what do you know? You're not supposed to shoot your first shot when you let go. Yeah.
That could also just be like it was holding it for so long that it turned into a negative edge input.
Yeah, it's possible. But then really it was just a bloody controller, because I tried it in every other machine and it was fine. As soon as I let go, especially when I did a dodge or when I was attacking, it didn't make me shoot a bullet or anything like that.
See, this is why you just fucking play on a DualShock 4,
Yeah.
man. I don't understand all this Xbox One shit, man. Like, I get it. It's, power to the players. You just witnessed the unveiling of the most powerful console on Earth.
Honestly,
but, homie,
like, I would have preferred an Xbox 360.
the Xbox controller's garbage.
I would have expected the Xbox 360 controller, because I love the DualShock 4. But the Xbox 360 controller was like, they shouldn't have changed it. They should not have changed it. That controller was like, is like, I was jealous. When I had a PS3, I was just like, if only PlayStation had this fucking controller, it would be the perfect system.
Although now
it's reversed. I fucking love DualShock 4.
Now it's reversed.
Yeah, fuck the Xbox 360 controller.
Fuck the Xbox controller,
Yeah.
dude. It's garbage. This is where it's at.
Alright.
So that's how you handled color up.
Yep.
But overall, you're not, like, that was only specific to that machine where, like, you had to hold up. And I felt really bad because I noticed that you were, like, holding down the X button on just call it the fucking Xbox pad. You were holding down the X button on the Xbox pad.
Gun button.
So your right thumb is hard committed to just this one side, and you were, like, trying to fucking find, space in between your thumb and the pad to piano jump on A and melee on triangle. It's just, man, it's...
And I was using...
But that overall
I think I was also using my pinky to do the caliber move as well, on the left stick. And, yeah, I learned that technique from Blowhard, actually, like, a couple of years back.
Oh my fucking god. He would.
Yeah, that guy was like...
Why would he do that?
No, because I don't know, he just get, like... The one thing I remember him telling me on Steam before he went, like, AWOL was because, he said... It's not about how you're supposed to play. Like, the way you think is limiting yourself. He told me it's about how you can play. So I'm like, so if you could play with your fucking toes and you could, like, control the analog stick with your nose, you could do it? And he's like, you say that as a joke, but you actually could. And I was just like, yo, he's not fucking with me. He's being serious. And then when I actually tried the way he played on Devil May Cry 3, I was just like, holy fuck, this guy's like a fucking Devil May Cry god. I've been playing longer than... I've been playing longer than Blowhard, but then he's the one fucking teaching me. I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this guy's a fucking god.
That tends to separate people like Tarudis, Delusionary Killer, Blowhard from people who tend to base most of their play decisions on other players.
Yeah.
Is that they just have not just a knowledge of self, but just an emotional openness to just doing shit that might not be fully efficient overall, or might even be a little uncomfortable.
But they're willing to try
first,
all these different risks and make mistakes. Yeah. That's one thing I learned from that guy. I wish he was around, man. I wish I could have sent him these videos.
Oh,
he's around, but
he still
he's
is.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, he went deep underground, absolutely.
Because he was going through some personal shit, and yeah.
Yeah, you gotta, like, treat him like Osama bin Laden and go to deep caves and shit to find his ass. But yeah, he's out there.
Yeah, because it irritates me.
I don't know if he'll come back for 5.
I think he's
asking a lot.
He was in Hong Kong, or at least before as well. So I wanted to meet up with him and shit, but then stuff happened, and damn it, man. I wanted to buy that guy I want to get him lunch or something like that. Because I was just like, yo, dude, you opened my DMC world, man. Oh, sorry for the cracking noise.
We got chips. You got Doritos.
No, there's these Japanese ice creams where they put it in like this plastic tube that you snap in half. I got the Ramoon ones, and it's fucking delicious.
The Ramoon one.
Yeah, it's like this lime, light blue soda thing. It tastes like lime and water sugar, basically.
Oh, ramen.
Yeah, ramen.
Oh, fuck. What?
Ramoon. Sounds like It sounds like Wamu from JoJo.
No, Wamu. So, another like viewer question would be that were there any? So the only thing that was actually remapped overall, relative to 4's like Nero move list, was that split is now on back plus melee, right?
That's the only change. and we found out the reason during Gamescom. In that Japanese gameplay video, there was a full house killer B move that Nero does. He does like a diagonal like stab going down, and that's probably the R1 forward melee button input, because it makes sense that split would be R1 back triangle, and if that move really does exist, and it does, that should be R1 forward melee button. So yeah, that's 100% the reason why they changed it back to split. The split to R1 back triangle.
And then, this didn't mess with you at all? Like the remapping of split didn't fuck with you?
At first, but after about 2 playthroughs, I got used to it.
I get you.
Yeah.
But overall, if you had the opportunity to remap the buttons to whatever control scheme you have, was that ever like, because okay, it's interesting to point out like the relationship between game speed, the physics engine, the amount of time you have before like a demon re-lands or just anything like that, and what you're describing now with the like the slight pause or like opening for time to think with jump canceling. But if you don't play on a standard like control scheme like me, you're somebody who just shifts everything around all over the fucking place. Did that actually get in the way for you at all?
Nope. Sometimes I play on other people's control schemes to see how their gameplay is, how it differs from mine. But honestly, you can still change. You can remap your control schemes, and it'll still feel like magic. Like, I was just thinking, what would happen if someone would like switch the Devil Breaker button with the guns? And I think some people might prefer that because like when a lot of people jump cancel, especially with Dante, they roll their fingers from circle, circle X circle, or style jump style, and then they like roll their fingers. But some people actually prefer doing it from X to square, or rather A to X on Xbox, and some people prefer it that way. You can remap your controls; it's fine. It'll feel fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, not to make us all about me, but I definitely do that shit. I put both Buster and Style on square.
Yeah.
And I put jump on circle so I can actually just seesaw. It's great. It's wonderful. I recommend everybody do it. If you don't, you're wrong.
I'll give that a shot, but I don't think I can go back to Devil May Cry 4, honestly.
It's like some Kingdom Hearts 2 shit. That's where I got the basis for the control scheme.
Really?
It's the best. Yeah. Melee's on X. Devil triggers on triangle. It's basically a reaction command. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
You going to tell me I'm lying?
Oh.
Guns on L1. We're living the best timeline, dude. Of course.
You're going to be disappointed on how much I spent on Union Cross.
Money?
Yeah.
The gotcha games gotcha.
Oh. You get one...
How much did you
you get like 10 coins for every 1,000 jewels you spent until like today. And I got 1,319 coins, which means that over the course of my entire game, including free jewels, which is not that much compared to the 1,319,000 jewels that I bought for the game.
What's the conversion rate on that, bud?
About 15,000 jewels on average, because sometimes it's 14,700 and sometimes it's 16,700, so I'll just average it to 15,000 jewels. Is about 100 US.
Wow. So it's a lot of fucking money. So you mentioned that Devil Breakers, like, I'm trying to think of a way to put this so I don't put my foot back into my mouth, but when you pop off a Devil Breaker through Breakaway, which is the burst, it's like they fall off, and you mentioned in your impressions video that they could be retrieved.
Oh no, that was an error on my part. I did some research because someone linked me. No, they don't scatter around. They actually break, and that was an error on my part. They do actually break, and the official explanation for that is Nico has been littering the Devil Breakers all around Redgrave City, and that's how like you see them throughout the missions and the demos and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's like Amazon drones, just dropping shit
Yeah,
everywhere.
every time she
Absolutely.
drives, she just like throws a devil breaker out the window or something.
Just littering just for the fuck of
Yeah.
it. So another question from, and this is going to wrap up the generalist questions, but
Sure, no problem.
on like the level of like overall detail that's been put into the game. We've talked about this quite a few times. On a graphical front, the game obviously looks amazing, and Digital Foundry actually put out a video where they showed the game running at 60 FPS
4K and all that.
consistently on Xbox One X, but also on base PS4, it's still running consistent 60.
Yep.
There was never like a frame drop or anything noticeable at all while you were playing, was there?
No frame drops, but there are noticeable things, because what they programmed the engine to do was that as soon as they detect something that's going to like, you know, that's going to bog down the system when it comes to the frame rate, they like, there's sometimes in the church cathedral, not all the rocks, but some of the more lesser minor details, they like fade away, because like most Havoc game engines like Vanquish, you notice how like when something drops on you like a rock, it like kind of fades away and it disappears from the game world, right? But it does that so well behind the scenes that you have to be looking for it to notice it. Like I had to literally look away, like using peripheral vision to just look at how everything is running, and the rocks behind like some walls and stuff like that, those slowly disappear. But if you're focused on the action between Nero and the boss like Goliath or any other demon, you wouldn't notice it at all. It's very smart the way that they designed that system.
So overall, you like interactions on a smaller scale, like with more detail-oriented stuff between Nero and the demons.
Yep.
Like anything like that. How I guess not in depth, because I don't really know what this person's asking about. But is there anything that really caught your eye that was specific about the way Nero was responding to a demon or anything like that?
Oh, you mean like the hoodie taunt?
Not just the hoodie taunt, but
like how he was taunting some demon. But actually, this is not exclusive to Devil May Cry 5. There are times where you taunt Burial in Devil May Cry 4, and then like he does the lunge attack at you, where like the sword comes overhead, slashing down. But I think maybe because people are looking for it in this game, when you do taunt, like I taunt the boss in one of the videos after I double jump and I air taunt to gain distance, and he actually charges at me, and now I use the overture battery to parry him. Like they do respond to taunts, and I think the very first bullet taunt that was linked by Devil May Cry 5 info, I got the camera angle wrong. I'm really sorry. I couldn't watch through the GoPro and the tripod, but the UI with the bullets and the Exceed, it was cut off. But the taunt where he does the bullet reload from Devil May Cry 4, the demon actually walked back because it's like, oh, are you gonna attack me? So there are minor ways that enemies like they do react to your taunts. It won't be like.
Did they bring?
Sorry.
Did they bring back the fear system from DMC 3?
Fear system? There's a fear system in Devil May Cry 3?
Yeah, like if you body, like, okay, start of mission 2, if you just blow up 2 Hell Prides, or just anything like that, and the remaining Hell Prides are there to see it, there's some type of invisible counter that will make them flinch and jump back.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know about that.
I imagine some people, I think fucking Blowhard or DK were telling me about like some Chinese players who have like this whole shit mapped out in a Google spreadsheet. But there is like a consistent way to get a reaction out of them. Did anything like that appear in this game?
Yes. There are certain like there are taunts where if you like there are taunts where sometimes I actually got hit quite a lot of times. And when I taunted, now that I think back, when I make a summary Gamescom video, I'll try to post a video and I'll send you the times code and link. But there are times where I got hit a lot, and when I taunted them, they weren't afraid to attack me and interrupt the taunt. But at other times when I taunt, they look around and they're watching what I'm doing, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So I think that fear system that you mentioned from Devil May Cry 3, I think that's making a comeback.
Okay, that makes sense, because that was a nice little detail in that game, and I was a little upset that it didn't appear in 4.
Yeah, I never knew about that system. You learn new things about every fucking game every day, I swear to God.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. But to wrap up the sort of discussion of overall presentation and attention to detail, something that I actually can vibe with is that people want to know, because there wasn't any audio direct feed
from my gameplay
in the audio of your videos. So how do you actually feel about the background music shifting, or not really shifting because that's the wrong word, but increasing in both volume and arrangement, density of arrangement?
Oh, it feels
in response to your style.
It feels fucking good, because in Metal Gear Rising, it just it starts playing the chorus. It goes to the start of the chorus. It feels kind of like choppy. It feels like it was cut there. But in Devil May Cry 5, what they do is whatever part of the song that is currently playing, they play a transition and then it goes to the chorus once you hit the S rank. So when you hit the S rank, it goes to the transition that lasts about 2 seconds right before the chorus, and then it starts playing the chorus.
The chorus.
But then when you go from double S to triple S, it becomes louder as well, and you start to hear the guitar louder as well. And I can kind of understand why the game journalists are complaining, because at D and C rank, the music kind of, I mean, it's a nice song, but it's not as nice with all the instrumentals and everything.
Right. And I was listening to a couple of direct feed pieces of footage, and for some reason the changes in sound and mixing more appropriately weren't necessarily all that noticeable, but when I actually have it in my hands and I can actually listen to it with my own headphones from the game directly, I'll probably appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, it is noticeable while you're playing the game, but it's not distracting.
All right.
And actually,
so we have a lot.
Yeah, one more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
When you reach a new rank, the guy there's an announcer. He sounds eerily similar to the guy in Street Fighter 5. Eerily similar. He goes when you're at D, he goes
now, yeah. Now that you bring it up, I do hear the resemblance. But you're right. Whenever you hit up it's weird, because I wish that they would have brought this over from the reboot, but I wasn't expecting them to do it for the lower ranks.
No, they did it for the lower ranks too. When you get a D,
they're bringing everybody.
Yeah, every good thing from every Devil May Cry game is gonna make it here. So I'm just waiting on crazy combos. That's the only thing I'm waiting on.
That's actually a good point. I am waiting on crazy
combos.
But
they won't make it so that, when you start a crazy combo, it makes that really bling sound effect, and then the animation state changes. I don't think it will be like that. I think it will be an evolution of the crazy combo system.
I love that shit, man. I live for that shit. Oh, the snap? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I live for that.
It's possible that...
I understand why some people think it's a little jank, though.
No, but it's possible we won't see that system with Nero. I think if they're going to do it, they got to do it with Dante, because... It debuted with Dante, it has to end with Dante.
It's perfectly good. But, so that sort of wraps up generalist impressions of the game, of the demo, I should say. Everything past this point is going to be sort of...
questions, right?
Yeah, more specific questions that I have, that I noticed or that fans have noticed have sent in. So, first off, this is in regards to the game's approach to inertia in the air. And this is something that I noticed in Daedron's videos, but in your first video upload, I noticed how you were able to just sort of very precisely, it looked to be at least, because I wasn't looking at your stick movement, but it just seemed like Nero's mid-air movement out of a double jump, a neutral double jump, was able to be like manipulated almost like it was gliding.
That is absolutely correct.
In a very like
it is not as
so
like the best way to say it is that when you jump, it will still carry that jump force, and you can tilt the stick to whatever direction you want. But the moment you tilt the other way, it stops the inertia. Like it slows it down. It slows down and it just stops. So like you can use that in your tool set, and it's not like the old games where you just when you're shooting you're just stuck in the air. This one you can kind of slightly tilt and move. So you can use that towards your advantage. And yeah, all it took was a stick movement. That's all it took. And this will work for the normal jump. This will work for the double jump. Also, after either one of the jumps, when you start air taunting, it will also carry that inertia. So you can actually use that as a triple jump, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that air taunt is essentially a triple jump.
Triple jump. Okay.
Like it's not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the distance is exactly like a jump or an air hike. It's about like 3/4 of that, but it's enough to dodge like glides, like swipes and stuff like that. That thing saved my ass so many times.
I've noticed by watching Daedron's gameplay, and like when he's in midair, I've noticed him like do relatively simple shit that you wouldn't think would completely stall gravity. But it appears as though things like air taunting, using battery in midair, shooting a gun in midair, won't gain you height per se, but it will
slow down the gravity.
Stall you.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, that is correct.
No,
same with
it's fucking weird. I want to talk to Daedron about this because I swear to God it just stops it. But I think it's maintaining, like, it's still like you described, you can still manipulate the direction you're moving.
That is correct. And for the overture, if you do the uppercut move, which requires an enemy to be above you, you will actually gain air. You will actually go up into the air. So you can use that.
Really?
Yeah. It's just slightly, but you do go up in the air to like attack the enemy upwards.
Okay. I'm back on the overture as kind of hype train.
Overture is very good because the breakage move for overture is a time bomb, which can be triggered after about 6 seconds automatically, or when the enemy's health is low, or by a shot immediately. And
there is something in particular about that's further down this list, but we'll get to it now. I noticed when you used Overture's Breakage on Goliath, you did it on his back, and then you were in Gerberus, so you jockeyed over to his front, and you shot at him a couple of times, but it didn't trigger the bomb. It only triggered the bomb once his back was facing you and the bomb was facing you.
That is correct.
So is that... Okay.
It will. You don't have the bullet. Doesn't have to hit the bomb because it blinks. Yeah. It blinks red. It doesn't have to hit that exact position. You don't have to aim. You just have to be facing that direction with the gun, and the bullet has to make sure it hits that area of the body. So if an arm gets in the way, like if it's a swipe and his arm is further and it hits a hand rather than the body, then it won't blow up. But it hits a body part that's near the bomb, it will still blow up.
That's so fucking smart.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. That's a very good way to like keep things decision and position oriented without making it overly complicated and precise.
Everything
for the camera system.
It has a decision behind it. And the philosophy that's consistent is the choice that you make should be as easy as possible to do, translating the commands into the controller. It has to be easy to do that. The skill comes in to what decisions you are making and when. That's how I felt like when I was playing this game. Yeah.
It's a very interesting... I'll need to look into that, because that sounds like a bit of a departure from the way, at least, play is now for DMC4, but... Bearing in mind, I'm comparing games that have, in some cases, 15, 16 years of metagame development to something that's not even officially out yet. But I noticed a couple times that you would try to grab a cartridge and you would like run past it, and you thought you clipped it, and you'd be like, okay, fucking A, got it, and then you'd like be like, wait, no, it didn't give it to me. You have to run back. I only noticed this a few times, but was there any was this a consistent issue with the collision detection on Overture or Devil Breaker cartridges?
No, I think it's no. It's because of the sprinting. When you're sprinting, your hitbox when it comes to picking stuff up becomes slightly more narrow than when you're just jogging. When Nero's just in his neutral movement state, it picks up. Even if it doesn't touch his foot, it just picks itself up. But then when you're sprinting, you can pick it up while sprinting. Actually, you can do it. But I think it's I don't know, maybe it's to punish speedrunners or something like that, because that's the only thing I can think about. Because the only way I would think about doing this is that if speedrunners, they have to really aim and they have to really plan and do everything the way that they need to in order to speedrun and pick up devil arms and stuff like that. But I don't know, it seems kind of weird.
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, but if you're just sprinting and then you just slow down by just stopping the stick and you move again, it just picks up easily. I don't know, just so weird.
Okay.
That's the only kind of
miffed
kind of thing I have about the demo. But go on.
But speaking about sprinting, did you ever just have the stick forward and then just 180 it?
Yes.
Completely, what happened?
When you 180, the Nero kind of slows down a little bit and changes directions, and then you continue sprinting. You have to.
This is the.
Yeah,
future.
You have to let go of the stick, as in just keep it in the middle. Don't touch it for him to stop running. If you.
This is the. Future.
Yeah, if you 180 it, he will actually slow down and he will go down the other way, like an actual person.
Oh my god! I was sitting in DMC4 vanilla. This is before speed triggered after the first couple of steps out of combat. This is before we even advanced into the 2015.
Yeah, I know.
I'm playing vanilla, and I'm just I'm practicing 6 spinneroonies in the fucking McDonald's parking lot with Nero, and you have to fucking baby the whole thing all around just the fucking stick. You can't do it too quickly, because then he'll fucking stop running. And you lost your fucking
I know.
sprint.
There are times where you just tilt slightly to the right when you're running straight, when you're going through the mission 4 ice area, and then you just slightly move it to the right, and he stops running, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
So solid. Yeah. It's amazing. So overall, enemy AI seemed pretty docile. Is that fair to say? I don't want to be like, nah, you're fucking dumb.
No. I mean, if I were to compare it to Devil May Cry 4, the demo was definitely on. I think the enemies were on Devil Hunter, but Goliath was on definitely Son of Sparta. No,
so Goliath was actually more aggressive than I thought.
Extremely aggressive. It's not like Burial where he just walks around and just goes yeah, look at my fat fiery ass. No, it's not like that. Like in Devil Hunter, he actually is. If you're not gonna make a move, he's gonna come to you and he's gonna smack you down.
That's fucking good. That's encouraging. But as far as air defense goes, and I'm not sure this is actually going to be an issue given the fact that we have Hellcana in the game, who are definitely going to get luster cut. But it seemed as though the player was almost untouchable if they were within an air hike's distance of the ground. So as long as they were above double jump height, then enemies just weren't able to fuck with you. Which is weird to say, because there were multiple times where Hellcana, which are the scythe wielding Grim Reaper demons for those who don't know, they have an overhead diagonal slash, which can definitely hit you out of the air if you're low enough. But that's only really if you're doing air to ground situations, or you're losing height over time.
That is correct. If you air hike and you're at that distance of the air hike, they actually cannot hit you. But because of the way.
What about the demons that fly? I'm curious because I never saw them actually attack.
Oh, they attacked me. One of them, I was attacking another fly demon, and then it came up to me and it just slapped me in the face, and I lost health. And then that's the one where I thought there was an error in the demo, but There was a green orb. Now that I looked and you mentioned, and I was just like, oh shit, it's not a bug in the game. It's actually okay.
Right. Well, so that's, but you were going to elaborate on that. Enemies not being able to come up and just fucking luster cut swipe you out of the air for nothing.
Yep.
So you're not worried. Are you thinking that they're going to be doing that on higher difficulties? That makes sense for this game?
Oh, definitely. If the enemy AI in this game is like, I can tell just from the way that they're walking up to me and walking back on purpose. That's like, on higher difficulties, they would have walked up to me and slashed me. Like, the one thing I like about Devil May Cry, well, one, when I always go back to it, is that enemies, they don't do slashes. They do combos at you, and they take off more. If you're at full health and you have the full health upgrades and you have 2 bars, they actually do combos, and they take like 1.5 health bars away. Like the assaults and frosts are so dangerous in Devil May Cry 1. They can shred you to pieces like very easily. But what I've noticed in that later Devil May Cry games, like enemies, they just like do one attack. Like it's only I call it the mosquito demons in Devil May Cry 4. Whatever, the Mephistos, something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Mephistos
only they
and Boss,
really do combos in Devil May Cry 4. Like when you have to dodge the
with the saw blade attack.
Yeah, the saw blade and the Faust. That's the one. The Faust also puts his fingers out, and you have to either parry or dodge him.
Oh yeah.
But I think we're gonna see more dangerous demons in Devil May Cry 5. I can tell that they picked the weaker ones on purpose, because they upped the difficulty of the demo a little bit.
That'd be fucking nice. Well, what's also good too, because these demons are fairly standard physically. It's not like we're dealing with anything as annoying as like a chimera yet. I'm sure there's going to be some fuck shit demon in the game at some point, but it seems like they're actually filling out the ranks of the lower demons that are just fun to fight and combo off.
And actually,
which is very
the thing
encouraging.
the thing in theory crafting is that I think demons might evolve in this game mid-combat, because back in the Devil May Cry 1 comic, I think Phantom says something that only the highest demons can initiate their own evolutions. And I think humans...
Yeah, this is something that you were talking about in your impressions video.
Yes, and then...
And...
in the...
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah. I think... Like, there's a real emphasis on blood in this game, and I feel like a lot of the demons, they're like drinking human blood. So maybe we might see demons evolve from... I don't think it will be like a huge evolve, but then it will be something like an assault becoming like a bigger assault, because in Devil May Cry 1, there were like these gigantic assaults, or like the... What do you call those guys? They're really fucking annoying ones. You know in the Nightmare World in Devil May Cry 1, there was these guys that laugh at you and jump around. That you have to...
Oh, yeah. Ah, fuck, I can't remember the name, but you're right. They are very annoying.
Yeah.
You are accurate.
They're, yeah, they're... I don't know, I forgot what they were called, but then, you had to kill them with, like, Inferno if you wanted to get away with... If you wanted to kill them quickly. Like, something like that. We'll see something like that.
Well, it's also worth pointing out that there's a couple of demons, like in a couple of offshoot paths, that spawn in. They're bugs, but they're carrying blood crystals.
Yes.
They're carrying demon blood crystals, not human blood crystals, but... Excuse me. There were also a couple of instances where I'm willing to... I want to pin out, like, timestamps and all that shit, but I recall seeing demons pulling blood from the ground and then becoming these fatter... like cargo-carrying bug demons. So I could certainly see that possibly happening for other demons and having it have different effects. It's weird because the little flying bug demons that are green, that have the green orbs on their back, I actually really like where they can take this concept where they're having cross buffing going on, where these flies are essentially acting like healers for the demons in the upstairs fight with the Hellcana and the bugs.
Yeah, that is correct.
And I'm hoping
that
on higher difficulty, they actually make it so that when they get those kinds of heals off, it turns into like a rage state or frenzy or something of that nature. Something that makes it actively dangerous for them to get that off.
Yeah. And I was kind of disappointed in the demo because there were times where I thought that the fly things were going to heal the enemies, but it looked like they were going to, but they didn't in the demo. That might just be a difficulty thing.
But that's what I was actually looking into this because some people were speculating that taunting. So there's this weird visual kink to 5.
Yep.
Where and I think it's documented in your videos and maybe in a couple of Daedron's, where you would be in the upstairs room or in the subsequent verse down on the street, and demons would have the little bugs, the green bugs. And they would do this animation where they're like crop dusting or dispersing the green orbs. And then the demons would start to glow green. They would get this effect on them.
Yeah, I remember that. But when I checked the lock-on, they did not heal. So what I'm thinking is that they probably didn't heal because it was a demo. Like, because if I see something like that, I'm like, yo, there's no way. Is it possible that they healed? But then when I checked it, I was like, they didn't heal. But then why would they put that animation? It's not like they would waste resources on something that is mechanically deep as a Devil May Cry game. They wouldn't waste resources on doing something like that if it didn't have a purpose. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of having a purpose, there's something that I want to talk to you about Breakaway.
Oh, yeah.
So, in regards to the way Breakaway works in terms of launching properties, in DMC 4, Nero's Devil Trigger activation, which is sort of the parallel to Breakaway, in that it's a cancel, it's a an AoE burst, and all of that.
Yep.
It seems like you're not capable, at least on the ground or most distances and ranges, of getting a straight-up launch. Because you can sort of finagle it, but if you're beneath a demon in midair with Nero,
you can keep him
there is a specific portion... Yeah, there's a specific portion of the hitbox where Nero will hit, and it will actually launch straight up like you hit him with a high time. You can also do it if you're in midair and you like do a reversed air combo A, so you turn Nero's back to the demon, press it, homeboy goes up, you did it, you're the best player ever.
Yeah.
But in 5, it doesn't seem to work like that. I've seen multiple instances where both you, Daedron, the dudes from IGN, whoever the hell got footage at that given moment, and they would press Breakaway, and they would be knocked up, yes, but with a trajectory arc away.
That is correct.
You can't get straight up.
You cannot launch enemies straight up in the air with Breakaway, but you can keep, if they're already in the air and you're under them, you can keep them in the air for like one more move. It's like you know that move in Devil May Cry 3 when you do the Devil Trigger and then like these runes, they come out of Dante and they add a single hitbox, kind of like that.
Yeah, DT Flux.
And the thing is, I feel like this move is like, it's more versatile than the Devil Trigger of Nero that we're used to, but it's weaker damage-wise because it does do the same things. Breakaway does have iframes, and it has uses like the Goliath. When he does the fire beam thing, he actually sucks you in, and if you break away from that and you go behind him. Because actually, the closer you are to Goliath when he does that, the safer you'll be. Because if you're behind him, he can't suck you in. And if you break away to get behind him, it will actually help you break away from that. You won't get sucked in, you won't get damaged or anything like that. But at the same time, you can use Breakaway if you're comboing and you can't table hopper, you can't... Oh yeah, table hopper is not in this build, but I think in the Gamescom, there's this one move where he does a last minute dodge and Nero, like, he picks him up and he slams him on the ground. But you can't dodge. There was this one gif. I don't know why people don't... There's this one gif of me I was taunting and then Goliath throws a rock at me and I get pwned. And then I was trying to dodge in that moment, but it wouldn't accept my dodge input because...
Oh, well, that's
how I got...
That's actually a fairly common... Yeah, so it seems like... Oh, this is a beautiful transition into something completely unrelated,
Yeah.
but reversals in this game. We'll tie this all back into
Yeah, no
taunting in a
problem.
moment, but you claim to have gotten a reversal, sir.
Yeah, I made a reversal
Naughty
combo.
the fuck. Naughty the fuck. So what do you recall your input chain for
Yes,
this?
I do.
For the reversal specifically.
Yes.
What did you do?
So now that the input for split is R1 back melee button, after doing the roulette spin, at that final spin, I did the split, and then I had to switch the lock first, and then tilt the stick backwards so that it would do the split away from the enemy that's dropping down behind me.
You had to switch your lock on target?
Yes, but actually I didn't have to, because when I the footage got fucking damaged and I'm really upset about it. But I did the same combo again, exactly the way it was, without switching the lock on. It works just like it does in Devil May Cry 4. Yeah,
okay.
It works exactly
That's
the
all
same.
that matters.
And but then for that specific instance, I locked on while switching the target. That's why you see that camera shift to that enemy that was behind me. And then I did the jockey backflip and I backflip kicked the demon, and then that was the end of the combo, and I was just going on to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Chaser Tech was was going fucking wild on the stream. He was like, "Yo, I know that's simple, but what the fuck?" Yeah.
Yeah.
He was fucking losing it.
But as far as the reason why I'm, transition away into taunts is that some players don't really do this all that often, but you can use taunts as a buffer window. Because as you pointed out, and it seems they're keeping this mentality from DMC4, where you can start a taunt, and after the first few frames, we'll say, because I don't want to give approximation of time, maybe a quarter of a second into the animation, then you can jump out of it. You can give a defensive or offensive input.
That's correct.
But it seems as though, but then you were in that shit for a minute though. That's what's interesting about it, because the footage of you walking up, you're doing the like the hands up, hey shit, and then like you're deep into it, but you still eat the rocks.
Yep, that's because actually with that taunt you can only move out of it after the arms start to go down. That's when you can jump out of it now, at least in Devil May Cry 5. And everybody doesn't include the part where I streak in and I'm like literally a centimeter away from him, and then like I battery parry him again. Like everybody, even in the Resetera thread, it's just like, yo, shit. But oh well, at least it's on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
But now we have that covered.
Yeah.
Here's something that I actually want to know about break age charges. Were you ever able to like get break age charge down and then get rid of it?
What do you mean?
So like, okay, am I correct in saying that what's it called? Like when the Devil Breaker starts glowing and sparking with electricity,
that's when the breakage ability is charged. Yep.
Charged. Okay.
Same with the other visual cue in this game is that if you hit Goliath's horns, there's this VFX thing that pops up, and that's similar to the Devil May Cry critical hits, like how if you go up, even with Ebony and Ivory, if you parry the Sin Scissors and you shoot its mask off, it dies with one hit. And same with the assaults. When you get them on their belly and you do a helm breaker down and you slash them down their spine, they'll die immediately. Yeah, those critical hits are back in Devil May Cry 5, but they do not instantly kill enemies. They provide mechanical functions. Like Goliath will start to like get stunned and he will like go down and he will like start resting where you can wail at him for a little bit. Yeah, that's what the critical hits in Devil May Cry 5 offer. They don't let you kill the enemy immediately, but they give you like mechanical advantages. But there is a risk.
But
because
like you have to go into a specific position.
You have to be in his like high, like, because he always attacks from the front. He has few attacks where he swipes and turns. So you have to really put yourself in danger if you want to risk getting that critical hit. But it's a risk reward. So you get to wail
Right,
at him.
right.
You get to wail away at him if you actually pull it off.
So now, going back to break ages,
Yep.
though, when you have it charged, if you make a decision in the middle of it that you don't actually want to, that you basically don't want to
Go through with like the breakage
go
ability.
through with
Yep.
it. Yeah, you don't want to go through with the full break age. Is there is break age on negative edge release, meaning when you let go of the buster button, is that a full state cancel? Like if you were to try to do shuffle, like let's say you're already holding down B,
I
and
let go in the middle of
you
shuffle,
just want
right?
to get in the middle of shuffle.
Yeah, it will.
Would it cancel,
It would cancel.
or would
No,
it just
it
drop
would,
it? It would cancel.
It would. You wouldn't be able to do the breakage ability because there's certain like when you're dodging and shooting and you let go of the breakage, if you do it while Nero is rolling, it will not. It will cancel the charge. But if you do it after he's done rolling and you do it, it will immediately go with the breakage, like Starman Ray or the time bomb thing.
Okay. So there is a way to lose it there is a way to get rid of the
without
charge
having to break your arm
without
or anything.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, or go into like the full Stamina Ray animation.
Yep, there is a way to back out of it. But then it requires a little bit of work because it punishes you for trying to start the charge and making the wrong decision.
So now, in regards to another viewer question that relates to Overture. Are there any properties to Overture that are like unique or just little idiosyncrasies of it that people don't really know about or that didn't appear in the footage? Because we talked about how it's like position and height dependent. Yeah. We talked about how it has a parry, or at least it's capable of beating out moves.
Oh yeah.
We've spoken about how the break age is
like you can cancel
like
it,
the
and
shot
it's like the charge shot 3, and the thing about Overture is that there's really not much else unless like there's an upgrade in the game that wasn't in the demo. There's really not much more I can say about Overture. All I can say is that it feels like the design question for this mechanic was, if Dante has Royal Guard so he can parry, how does Nero parry certain attacks from demons? But the thing about Overture is that you cannot parry everything with the battery. For example, doing the fireball, you cannot parry the fireball with the Overture. It will break. But
really,
yes, I failed to save the footage because I had like a lot more videos, but I couldn't do it. But the two things that I regret not being able to try that I hope I get to do in TGS is I want to record the footage of Overture breaking when I try to parry the fireball, and I want to do the Gebura. Two things I want to do with Gebura: stationary push and push the fireball back, and jumping forward to parry the fireball back. That's the two things I want to do with Gebura. But for Overture, I'd say for like melee attacks you can parry, but for projectiles you cannot parry with Overture, because Gebura has this description where it says specific like parrying projectile attacks. So I think what they're trying to
it's specific about it.
And even in the Gamescom trailer, you see a bat shoot a fireball at him, and then when you do the jockey, the air dash with Gebura, it actually reflects the fireball back to the bat. So what I'm thinking is Overture is probably parrying for melee, and Gebura can be used to parry projectiles. That's what I'm thinking.
So overall, if you had to describe any like major differences overall in the feel of Exceed, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but was everything that was said there realistically the only thing that really felt different about Exceed timings for Exact?
When it comes to the timing, that's for Exact. for all these people that are saying that no, Nero is for like newbies and stuff like that, there's no excuse now. Like Exact is it feels amazing to pull off as well. And yeah, the only thing I really are wondering about Xseed 3 is that so far for the Xseed 2 moves, you know, for like shuffle and caliber, you know how you do extra hits, right? There
Yeah.
are extra hits, but it's significantly less extra hits. Like for Xseed 2,
How
I
do you
think
mean?
it's like a 1, 2, 3 hit. That's it with one swing. Like there's a small stop. There's a very small stop. And I'm just wondering about how Xseed 3 is gonna be like. We might see some footage later on in TGS, but I don't know. For people who really liked Caliber, because when we pull off Caliber with XT3, like it just like da 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 da, and Sanctus's shield goes down. Like for people who really liked that feeling, I kind of feel bad for them because they might be slightly disappointed with this Caliber and Shuffle Exceed system.
Hmm.
But one
Okay.
good thing about this new Exceed is that when you double down, it actually launches enemies up now.
Yes, I did notice
Yeah,
that. Although, I feel as though I should be more specific. Depending on the position of the
yeah,
demon,
they could be hidden
it
away
can
as
either
well.
knock. Yeah, it can either knock back or yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of everything in Devil May Cry 5 is much more contextual. It's much more based on like what's currently happening, what's your position in relation to the enemy, and back to the topic about Devil Breakers. I think a lot of people misunderstand what's the design problem for Nero. So the reason why Nero was made was because if you slap 4 styles on Dante and you throw them at a new player, you're gonna overwhelm them. Like even if you force them to play one style at a time, like learning how to switch between them is gonna take so much time. It was specifically designed for Devil May Cry 3 players. Then how do you get new players, especially to number 4? How do you get them into the series? And Nero's design problem in Devil May Cry is how do we get like a complete casual fan who knows nothing about Devil May Cry play a character and understand and master the basics, not master and learn about the advanced mechanics, but master the basics of a Devil May Cry game. And Nero's Nero's Devil Breaker system solves the design problem of help forcing new players to learn strategically about Devil May Cry, because I think a lot of casual players, when they see the game, they're just like, oh, you just wail away and you just shoot at demons, that's it. Like when they start to play this game, they'll really not just play, but people who are spectators will see, oh, you have to be more tactical with him. And the reason why the Devil Breakers are not on the D-pad is because it makes players think ahead of time and really take the time to learn the design, the levels, and what's in each level to plan out their playthroughs, to plan out different versions of their playthroughs. And I think you still kind of can decide what move you're going to do, like as if you had on a D-pad. You just gotta plan ahead of time. That's it. Because, you know in the demo, you know how there's a telephone booth, right? To summon Nico's
Yeah.
van? You can probably switch and buy Devil Breakers right then with like red orbs and stuff like that. And you completely set your loadout right before a boss as well. So it's
Oh
not
yeah.
only that you can pick around the Devil Breakers that are littered by Nico earlier. Like there'll be in every Devil May Cry mission, you always will see a golden statue, a divinity statue. So it might be the same with Nero. Like it's
Well, there's actually a small divinity statue in Nico's
exactly
van.
next to that box that says Sparta Tools, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Little self-referential
Well,
meme right there, but
there's another script that I plan on working on soon that's sort of dealing with this discussion more in the hypothetical, because obviously people don't have the game yet. So it's sort of pointless to talk about what's actually lost before people have their hands on it. However, I do understand, and I don't fully agree because I'm actually excited by the concept of some of the limitations that Nero has, simply because of the possibility of helping players even in the long run approach a mission route differently.
yeah, like
However,
I do like that, but I also do kind of agree that I think they might actually do this in training mode, like because it is a training mode. You might be able to load whatever devil breakers you have, and or devil breakers you want. But in the missions, like gameplay missions sort of setting, I think I don't think you'll be able to switch them on the D-pad. I think you have to plan ahead of time, and that's one thing I really like. Even though I'm kind of miffed about the kind of combo potential on the D-pad.
well, overall though, I think that there's an argument to be made, and I completely understand where people are coming from with this, where there's a concern for the potential lost for the game's technical development in the future. And this is sort of feeding into a larger discussion about how heavily execution is going to play a role in DMC 5 relative to how massive of an impact it makes in 4 in terms of your overall ability to execute ideas. However, there's something that I've been thinking of in regards to even the incorporation of the D-pad in relation to the breakage system.
Oh, are you talking about like
when it comes to
like,
Nero's,
you know how he has on the bottom right, he has like every 4 sets, so
Yeah.
you can switch between sets of like different devil breakers and stuff.
well, it does list it, and supposedly there's going to be a way to swap without breaking, but there's like, if you break down the variable argument or issue that people have, there's those who have issues with the devil breakers breaking at all, which on its own, I'm personally a fan of the idea of punishing players for getting hit, and I'm also a fan of like having a super powerful move that removes your ability to use a base devil breaker function. I think that's an I should say it opens the door for an interesting opportunity for decision making, provided that every breakage actually serves a useful function in at least most cases the player is going to be placed into.
Yeah, because even in Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, they tried to incorporate like special moves and stuff like that, but they couldn't do it without making it so broken. That's why in Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, everyone's just like, Judgment Cut End has a charge up time where you can cancel out of. Then it's like, that's not even a punishment, because you can just cancel out of that with the Devil Trigger dodge.
With Trick Down.
Trick Down or anything.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, yeah, but then I think the breakage system is exactly what you described. Like, it gives you massive power in exchange for losing it. Yeah.
And also, if as far as like losing it goes, that's going to depend much more, like losing it by getting crush countered, basically is what I'll call it. So if you get counter hit out of it, then the only way that's going to be a substantive problem is if the enemy AI is actually aggressive enough and their move lists are varied enough to be able to hit you in multiple states, to where you're constantly faced down with a risk-reward situation of having to potentially throw out an unsafe Devil Breaker and having to lose it.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, that's going to depend on how AI is in the fight.
There are times where also, when I was fighting Goliath, when I did the air jockey, or when I was about to do the Stamen Ray, and they hit me while I was charging it, and it actually it broke the Devil Trigger and damaged me. So when you're charging it, you got to be careful, because as soon as you charge it and you get hit, that Devil Breaker is gone.
Oh, you're in crush counter state on charge?
Yeah. As soon as you start charging, when you get hit, it's boom. The Devil Breaker's gone. So you got to be careful. Well, even when you're using it, you get hit, it gets broken. Same with like if an enemy comes up to you, because I think one of the questions that a lot of people want to ask me is, how does the Starman Ray work? Because it's like an over-the-shoulder third thing. Can you like turn 360 degrees? You cannot turn 360 degrees. You can only turn around about, I'd say 75 degrees from the left to the right. Like you can't really turn. And if an enemy comes up behind you and hits you, that arm is gone.
We were talking about the decisions and sort of the discussions surrounding Nero's Devil Breaker system.
The Devil Breakers.
And the only thing that I would, really think to add at this point is that there's another perspective given in favor of like specific D-pad swapping that I don't really see many people making, but I can still understand why someone would want to make it, which is more of an argument and perspective of the game's hopefully long lifespan after launch. Because there's... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, about that. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just really hyped. Actually, you know how most games people are hyped until release, and then it releases, and then the hype slowly dies down, and then the next game pops up, like Fortnite or Shadow of Tomb Raider, or Doom or Rage. No. Everyone's got the hype train wrong. The hype train, the real train, okay, starts when the game is released. Because what I played was just a public test demo. Now, the full game obviously will have more Red Queen moves, more Blue Rose moves, more Devil Breakers, 2 other characters, Dante and Vital, or V or whatever. And this game's gonna last us... Okay, assuming we get no Devil May Cry 6 or new Devil May Cry game in the next 10 years, this game is going to last us 10 years, at least. That's my... Yeah, that's the confidence and the feeling that I get after getting my hands on the demo and really testing everything out. This game will last us a long ass time. Like, there was even after playing 47 times, I was still finding new tech, and I was still unable to try certain techs that I wanted to. That's how much the demo had to offer. Then it's like, imagine what the full game with 10 missions, I mean, like 30 missions has to offer.
Is that even confirmed, or is that still in league mode?
It's insane. 10 missions per character is on leak load. The only thing that's been confirmed is that this time we got more than 20 missions. Because the usual is like Devil May Cry 3, 20 missions, Devil May Cry 1, 23 missions, Devil May Cry 2, 18 missions, Devil May Cry 4, 20 missions, well, 20 levels. But all we got now, the only thing we got confirmed is that whether it will be like Birth by Sleep, where you play Terra's campaign, Aqua's campaign, Ven's campaign, and then a final episode, and then a secret episode for Final Mix. That pissed me off. I had to buy the Final Mix again. And then whether it will be that sort of gameplay system for experiencing the story and the gameplay, or whether we will switch during key moments in the story, has not been confirmed. But from what I'm reading, it seems like they're leaning towards switching between key moments of the story, because they want people to... Because there are lots of people, actually, that just play the game once, and then they, like, drop it down, which is the worst way to play a Devil May Cry game, because you're supposed to come back to it again and again throughout, like, while we're playing it. But a lot of people do that, and they want those people to, like, at least experience a little bit of everything, in hopes that they will keep coming back and play more. And, so I think this time all I know is that we've got more than 20 missions. Definitely more. And according to Son of Sparta on Resetera, the leak, way back in November, if that's true, and I think it's true, this is going to be the longest running cutscene time of any Devil May Cry game, which means that there's going to be a lot of story developments. And I think way before E3 on Reddit, there was this picture of like 3 screenshots, and everyone's like, what do you mean Nero's robotic devil arm? This is a fake. This is a Monster Hunter World screenshot. But there was a line there that said the final chapter of the Sons of Sparta saga. So I think there's going to be a lot of story.
That would make sense. That would absolutely make sense, especially if this is intended as like Tsuno's last, like, which I don't think I've heard him say directly, but I would completely understand if this is where he wanted to cut it off. It'd make sense too, especially if they're talking about this as like the best game they've ever made.
Because for Itsuno, I feel like, first, he's a very humble man. Like, I got to talk to him a little bit at Gamescom, and the impression I had of him is that he really wants to make Dragon's Dogma 2. I can really see it in his eyes. Like, that's his passion project. But he feels so like, he's such a good person, and he's such a humble, kind person that he feels it would be dishonorable to start Dragon's Dogma 2 before doing a Devil May Cry 5. So actually the Devil May Cry 5 is a warm-up. And then after he delivers us our dreams, then he's going to go chase his dreams of making Dragon's Dogma 2. So that's why I'm thinking, like, maybe us Devil May Cry fans can do something special for him when Dragon's Dogma 2 gets released. Yeah. Because I could even see it in his eyes. He's looking at me as if just like, if this guy is really a game designer, like, I hope he can come help us make another Devil May Cry game or something like that. Maybe it's me being wishful thinking because I've always wanted to, like, be part of making, like, an amazing game like Devil May Cry, but I don't know, there's just such me, like, he's looking around for someone else, especially, I could tell, maybe even in Capcom, when people are making Devil May Cry 5, he's looking at the development team, seeing who is the one that's going to, like, lead the next Devil May Cry game. I get that impression of him, even at Gamescom.
Still, if...
Oh, but Dragon's Dogma 2 on the RE engine will feel like, oh,
well, they got fucking black magic going over there. I don't even know what the hell it is.
Yeah, whatever hell happened to the Phanta Ray engine, its corpse gave birth to, I think probably... Oh my god, I think all the Japanese game companies right now, they're smashing their head on the tables. They're like, we should have outsourced our engine so it could be like Unity and Unreal.
Well, I hope that Capcom is interested in licensing out the RE engine, especially if it's capable of pulling off the fidelity that we're seeing in DMC 5 at a consistent 60.
I think they would have to. They wouldn't license it to like indies, though. There's no way they would do that. They probably license it to like other AAA, maybe mid-A developers, like no, Platinum would. Honestly, Platinum's engine is like they've got their own engine. They've got their own beast. But I think after watching was it Scalebound that got cancelled? They couldn't get it running on the Xbox One that well, and then I think they got into like a couple arguments, and then that project got cancelled. But seeing how fluid Devil May Cry 5 runs on the Xbox system makes me kind of feel like Platinum's technology, like their game design is like by far the best, but I think their technology is kind of lagging behind a little bit, because part of game history that we have to study is that, right now, Americans have the best game technology, like Unreal Engine 4 and Unity, but their game design is not on par with the Japanese level sort of games. Like, you wouldn't see a game like Nier Replicant or Gestalt, as it's called in the West. You wouldn't see a game like that being made in like the West, or something like the Drakengard games. Like, you wouldn't see something from Yoko Taro. Like, there wouldn't be a West version of like Yoko Taro or like the Devil's Third and stuff like that, which I feel like was a gigantic waste, because the multiplayer for Devil's Third was like, I think, one of the most fun I've ever had for any third person games. And I don't know, I feel like although America has the best technology, Japan has always had the best game design. That's why even in the Golden Age video game crash after the ET came out, everybody was flocking over to Nintendo. It's because Japan always had the best design sensibilities. And I feel like now, technology-wise, they're catching up. They're catching up fast, and I think American games are going to take kind of a hit in the next couple of years. But when it comes to making the most money, though, I have to say, Korea, let's just say, the only thing I will say about us South Koreans is that we invented microtransactions.
Yeah, we really we were really still reaping the benefits of all those. 110%. Muchos gracias. Thank you.
Yeah, when it comes to business, like, literally, if any game in Korea is not reaching FGO's numbers, like, it gets canned immediately. Yeah, it's that's why actually I was kind of scared of, like, because I'm actually Korean, so I was thinking, I can always just go to a game design university in Korea and then maybe go to Nexon and stuff like that. But looking at the markets, like, everything is designed specifically to, there are fun games like Lineage 2 and Mabinogi and Vindictus and stuff like that, but the game design there is actually also really good, but it's the Korean investors Oh, forget about it, man. Like, if you thought the Japanese, like, you know the pack stream that we were watching, you know how Matt asked all the people to stand up and shout Devil May
Hmm.
Cry 5 is back, right? That's not just for hype reasons. That's to show the investors. Look, they want for Devil May Cry fans, they want like a Japanese
Hmm.
game with an American skin on it. Like they want the Western sort of look and feel, but with the
Right.
Japanese sort of sensibility and design. But a lot of Japanese investors, especially like KG and Afuni, they're like, "Oh, Japan is fucked. Japan is screwed. We have to go to the West. It has to be a Western kind of game so we can reach Call of Duty numbers." So the reason they also did that was in the pack stream just now is to show the investors the way we can prove to you that making these gamers' dreams come true is the best way to make money
Hmm.
is by doing things like that to like show that we are committed to spend a fuckload of money if they do invest in fulfilling what we want, because part of the reason why they really pushed for DMC Devil May Cry was because it was a Western studio heading a Western game. So from their perspective, they thought that it would have been they thought it would be like winning the lottery, like hitting the jackpot. But after seeing their really dismal sales numbers, even the
Yeah.
investors are like, "What the hell is going on?" Yeah. So if you thought that's bad, you should come to Korea and see the investors. I feel part of the reason I'm actually doing this, and I also want to work at Capcom, is because I want to bring some professional Western and sort of Japanese game experience with me and bring it to Korea and like help game designers actually do what they want. Because from from hearing lots of game design ideas from my Korean friends, I'm just like,
Hmm.
if only you had the money to do it, man. Like some of the like I know one friend, he wants to make a mobile game where it's like a third person mobile game where you fight like a giant monster but the camera stays still. There's a block button on the left side and there's a dodge button on the right side. And what you do is you're always standing stationary and you're slashing and doing combos by doing
Hmm.
certain directional slashes to do combos. If you want to block certain attacks, you hold the bottom left button and then you swipe it the direction where the attack is coming. And if you want to dodge and roll or whatever, on the bottom right there's a dodge button. You hold that and you send the direction you want to dodge, and you'll still get hit if you do an
Yeah.
incorrect direction of dodge or something like that. If you tap the dodge, you'll jump. And I thought that was like if he had the money to prototype that and to develop that into a real game, I think that might make even more than League of Legends. It's my personal opinion, but he can't get the money to do it
Right.
because no one's willing to give it to him. So part of the reason I want to like go to the West and also go to Japan is so I can bring this sort of experience and go like, just give this guy the money and he can make a like multi-billion-dollar game for you and just give him the money. But yeah.
Well, no, absolutely, and
Anyways, back
it's
to Devil May
I
Cry 5.
understand
Like,
what you mean
I feel
by
like
the need to satisfy shareholders and investors and things like that, and it's good to, at least from what you saw of the pack stream, that they're still trying to show that this is a product that's worth investing in. But you're right. Back to DMC5, there
yeah,
is there.
yeah, but it's possible that I think this game might actually sell more than
I'm
God of
hope
War,
like well, I
like
mean, obviously,
the reboot,
I would want that, but at the same
soft
time,
reboot.
I mean, all I know is that
Is it
I'm at
possible?
this point, and
Right.
this is no memes, if I'm intending to set aside money to purchase at least 4 copies. I know that's technically a bad thing, and if there was some fucking way that I could just funnel money, like if they had a fucking donation box or some shit like that, I would send them money that way. But
Yeah, you
save
would.
that.
Yeah,
There's like outside of fucking like getting currency, getting a homie in Japan and being like, "Hey, dog, ship this shit to their team." That is the only thing that I can do because I made it a point from this point on to be as supportive as possible of not just these games but of anything that I enjoy seriously, and DMC has become such a big part of my life that it only makes sense to invest as much as I could reasonably. It's like I'm not giving them my entire college fund or anything like that, but still. But in the end, it's if a situation ever comes about where DMC, not even necessarily DMC in particular, because it's bigger than just that. I don't want there to ever be a point again where action games fall out of developmental viability in a way that was preventable by my actions on some small level. Like if Platinum, heaven forbid, decides that they're going to stop making strictly action games and instead decides to start funneling most of their resources towards action RPGs because that makes them more money, then in my mind, that's, for me at least, a net negative, especially considering that I enjoy a lot of Platinum games, not that I play them to the same degree that I play DMC, but still, the point there being is that there's, and this was brought up on the Capcom stream for Gamescom for DMC 5. Someone just brought it up at random to Itsuno-san. They were like, these kinds of games don't come out anymore. And the reason for that was just because they fell out of relevancy. And it's like, well, how the fuck did they fall out of relevancy? It's not like...
Yeah, there's like fucking Ninja Gaiden every couple of years and shit like that.
The player base for these games didn't necessarily go anywhere. And it's more so than that. The audience for people who are looking for systems-driven, raw, like, gamey mechanic systems like DMC 4 and 3 and Bayonetta, who are looking for those types of games, they're going to be there, if not even more so now, in response to games like GOW God of War, in response to games like Detroit Become Human, not because there's anything necessarily wrong with them, but because those are just games that don't appeal to the same type of people that enjoy this medium. So that's the rationale for just wanting to give the team as much incentive to at least keep the genre alive as possible. Although it is worth it to temper expectations, and I don't think I've ever heard of a game selling 7 million copies in the first month.
Oh, not the first month, no way. But this is the thing about what I mentioned earlier. Like, the hype for this game is reversed, actually. The hype train, the real hype train, starts when we get the game, actually. Like, I feel like this is gonna be one of the rare games, especially single-player games, that, like, throughout its lifetime, it will make more money. It's also thanks to digital sales and Steam, but I think this game is 100% going to release on Steam, and it's already confirmed. And I think when more people make more combo videos, because there's a lot of tech in here, people are gonna make combo videos throughout the years, and as a community, as we get better and better and better, people are gonna be like, yo, didn't this game come back out in 2019? Like, people are still playing this game. What the hell's going on? And I feel like Capcom should definitely send some early copies to, like, YouTubers.
Yes, I 110% agree with you, Richard Kim. Capcom should send me an early copy of DMC 5. No, but the thing
they should send me a copy
from
too.
The community aspect is that, and I've spoken with Chaser, and Night NC made a video about this to a similar effect, where Chaser once upon a time was going to make a video, a talking video, specifically where he outlined why he felt it was a poor decision for players to get into Devil May Cry 4 at the time, which was a few months ago, simply because of the amount of work that's required to get up to standard now. Because it's not like it was where you had a dichotomy of technical execution barriers, where there was like divisions of very specific input timing tech for just Virgil. Because for a while, the impression that some players had, at least when I told them, unfortunately I misled them in this, where I would say, DMC4 Dante and Nero are largely straightforward in terms of input timing. It's not so much about frame perfect inputs or anything like that, like you get with Virgil's round trip glitch 2, anything of that nature, or delayed judgment cuts, anything like that. But now it's to the point where that's just outright not the case. Nero has a form of frame perfect JC out of his Buster Grab on some demons. It's to the point now where so much time has been invested in so many small things, so many freak accidents. And this is the important thing. Freak accidents occur just in the middle of gameplay. But now people have had so much time to document those occurrences, go back, break them down, recreate them, and make them consistent.
Yeah. Like Royal, we didn't even learn about Royal Guard flying until like a couple years, I think 5 years ago.
I thought that was pretty early on.
No, we didn't even learn about it until like I think Terminus was like back in 2013, 2014, something like that. 안녕하세요. 지금 친구 통화하고 있어요. 미안해요. 네. Yeah, my grandma just woke up. Yeah, but then Terminus was back in 2014, I think. It's been like a long ass time. I think the original video got taken down for some reason, and then I forgot who.
Are you sure
someone
you're not thinking
uploaded
of Paradigm Shift?
Someone re-uploaded it, everything. No, it was Terminus, because that was the combo video where everybody started using Doomsday Party, the Luna sequence remix. I think Brea was playing that clip or something like that.
In either case, I don't have Delusionary Killer here to run Historian, but the main point being is that now it's this weird inverse effect where you get people in because they see players with such incredible degrees of comfort. But it's interesting because that's so not representative of how players are when they first pick up the game. The reality of the situation is that when you first get into DMC, unless you've had experience with the genre in some other capacity, or you just... I won't even say you're coming in from fighting games, because I have no control variable to prove this. But in reality, you're more than likely going to be playing with the speed and comfort level of what we're seeing coming out of some of the, direct capture footage for DMC5 coming from players like Eric's Gaming, whoever the hell played for IGN those couple of times, Frame Advantage, where there's long gaps between inputs. They're taking extensive amounts of times to reposition because they just don't know what they're doing yet. They haven't internalized basic motions yet. That's more representative of how they're going to play initially. But even beyond that, when you start to breach into the upper levels of high division play, there's still so many tiers and levels of playing DMC better that invariably people are going to fall behind, and you run the risk of a rich get rich, poorer get poorer situation. You already have this in 4.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what worries me is that to a certain extent, as time goes on, you're going to get new people in, absolutely, because they see what other people are doing. They're seeing, this is just how, generally speaking, games sell now in the era of Twitch streams, for instance. People see a game streamed live by an actual player.
Exactly.
They can see how it functions in reality, and they can judge for themselves if they want to pay money for it. And the same functions for... Oh, well, fuck. I actually want to see how... Are you aware of Dota 2? The International? So, the International just happened.
Yeah.
Amazing tournament.
Yep.
I want to see how play spiked. Active players, I should say. Active users has spiked for that game relative to before the TI. But... Oh, before the TI is bad. I should just say before the International.
I think probably new players would be like a more interesting statistic to look at, because we know the old players are gonna go back and they're gonna try like different character builds and.
Lifestealer.
Oh, dude, I used to play as
Fucking
Lifestealer
so
a lot.
good.
I would just fucking jump out. Yeah, I would either play as Lifestealer, Io, and then I tried Zeus, and then I got fucked. I never played Zeus.
Did you ever play Troll
ever
Hunter
again after being traumatized?
Oh my god, that character is so retarded. I fucking. Witch Doctor.
I used to play a Witch Doctor.
That was back when I was
well.
a shitter and I didn't fucking. I never played
I used
supports.
to piss people off.
Oh wait, no, I definitely did.
Yo, dude. I've never played Dota 1. I've never played Dota 1.
Hard
I've only played
same,
Dota
buddy.
2.
But
yeah.
To tie this all back in the DMC to 5 and back into the breaker discussion, the argument for like long-term sustainability, for like giving players new things to work on for each character individually, is that there's arguably a big opportunity lost for Nero if we're not combining the elements, not just of live double breaker swapping, but also with the challenge that is associated with having new breakers, potentially independent breakers of your build. Because this is another thing I want to see if is true, is if you exit or you enter a mission with 4 breakers, if you can get breakers spawn in that aren't in the rotation that you started out with. I imagine that that's the case, but I would also not be surprised if they only relegated the random drops to the ones that were already in your selected rotation. But no, go ahead.
I know what you mean. Like, you know how with a certain setup with Dante, let's say that you ended the mission on with Swordmaster, Shotgun, and Gilgamesh equipped, and you start a new mission. That the setup with Dante would be the same, right? Because there's a hidden saved data about your current state when you quit the game. The thing is, we have no information on that. We can't confirm or deny anything. But what I can kind of say is that the best choice to make would be, since the devil breakers that are scattered around the mission are set, and we already have Nico that will like show us all the different things to do. I think at the beginning of the demo, people didn't look behind Nero. They just like ran up straight away. But in one of my videos, I actually turn around. Nico's van is there. So I think at the beginning of every mission, Nico will take you somewhere, or at least you'll have access to Nico's van, and then you'll be able to set up your starting.
I know it's fucking with you. Yeah, it's everywhere now. You just put Devil Breaker in front of everything. Fuck devil this, devil that. Trigger breaker bringer.
Devil this, devil man. Yeah, fucking hell. You can choose your own selected devil breakers at the beginning of the mission, but you have to plan out and I really like that level of strategy. I think that might help a lot of new players really learn about learning more about more advanced planning in the game, because what people don't really realize, I think, about the style ranking system, you're supposed to come up with a combo in 2 seconds, or you have to make it as you're going along. If you really think about it in that respect, if you want to go from D to triple S, you have to plan out your combos within a second, unless you've planned it outside when you're at work, when you're bored, or when you pause the game and you wait for 5 minutes thinking about how to make a triple S combo. Most people actually don't think oh, how do I make a triple S combo in less than 5 seconds? Asking someone of that is actually quite difficult. So most people are playing it and just winging it and learning as they're going along. The really high level players, they can already think about lots of different new combos on the spot, because they've played the game and they know the setups. If they want to hit the enemy in the air and do a reverse split and then branch out different combos from there. So they have preset mini combos in their head that they use to chain, and they come up with even more different combos. That's more advanced level thinking when you're playing Devil May Cry games. And I think this Devil Breaker scattering all across the levels and stuff like that, and you having to plan out what to do, and what Devil Breaker to get, what to leave behind, what moves you're gonna save for what enemies, and what boss. I think that really helps with that kind of thinking to like help players become like more like increase their skill level and have more fun with the game. So I think it's a good system.
Going back to
in my
the
personal
idea
opinion.
of what the opportunity that's lost of the D-pad, though, something that is important to
Yeah.
note about the way that actual input chains for techniques are constructed is if you were to think about a backwards inertia rave. I go back to this point because it makes sense. You don't think of it as an independent thing of pressing the style button and then entering Trickster to get your Sky Star. You don't think of it like that. You think of, no, I'm pressing square, then up on the D-pad. You're specifically keeping in mind what button on the D-pad you're pressing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if we combine the... I mean, this is even true of people who swap around the placements of the style buttons. They keep them consistent so they can practice techniques within the framework of the control scheme they've already established. Otherwise, people would have zero problem shuffling that shit around all the time, but you don't see that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like exactly. And I think a lot of people who really want like, I think yeah, it would be easier to do more combos and do more crazy combos, be it Devil Breaker switchable on the fly, like which Devil Breaker you want exactly. And I also want to see that, at least in the training mode. But when it comes to actually playing the game and actually solving the design problem, how do we help new players or returning players who haven't played Devil May Cry games in a long time? Or even, like, yeah, how do we get players to learn and the key word here is master. Master the basics of each Devil May Cry game, this one being number 5. I think that's something that people have to keep in mind when thinking about why Nero
Well, if
is
anything, there's also
the way
something to keep
Nero
in mind
is.
that that's
Yeah.
maybe potentially
completely
why
agree.
D-pad functionality or anything like even live swapping without breaking, even if they just bind it to R2, which on its own, by the way, is going to be... It won't be awkward. I mean, fuck yeah, cycling through 4, hush my mouth, it'll be awkward as fuck, but it'll be done. The point being, though, is that you need to... There is a consideration to be made for people who are, and this is more the point, people who aren't going to be necessarily super concerned with the, not necessarily the design problem, but just newer players in general. And I understand certainly that there's concern there, and this is where I'm giving people who are worried about D-pad functionality a lot of understanding, because I feel on some level the same way. Is that you miss out on the entire possibility of having the reshuffling of new functionality per Devil Breaker into specific portions of the D-pad, forming that into your overall like way of breaking down and internalizing Nero's move list. Because when you think of, or at least when I think of Dante's move list in 4, if we were to draw a direct comparison once again, it's much less, whilst I would describe it as like mode selection, it's more like a massive move list that just happens to incorporate inputs like, what's the correct way to put this? If I'm in Swordmaster and I'm pressing square for Aerial Rave and I want to go to Lucifer Splash, I simply think of it as R2 twice, X. And it's the same thing with style switching. So to throw that wrench into the equation opens up new avenues of, like, necessarily it raises the skill cap, whilst also hypothetically lowering its ceiling by potentially removing some of the strategy elements, which is also necessarily to the game's potential detriment. Either way, I'm down to clown, but I also understand why people are weary about it.
Yeah, because on paper it seems like a huge missed opportunity, but this is one of those game design things where you do it and you go like, it's not as good as I thought. Like, it sounds good on paper, but now that I've tried it, it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't do what I want it to do. It doesn't achieve the results that I wanted to achieve. And I feel like they've done a lot of prototyping for this game, even before revealing it. And yeah, I actually think that for style switching for Dante, judging from how smooth the gameplay was for Devil May Cry 5, I think I'm pretty sure that Dante is going to be how do I say? I don't think he will move like he does in Devil May Cry 4, where, like, you know how you trick sword, and you do the star raving, and then you can jump away and you rainstorm. If you trickster and then you rainstorm over the enemy, like, I don't think he'll move like that. I think he'll move more smooth and more fluidly, and that kind of makes me kind of anxious to really see how the style system really works in this game. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna just have to wait and see in TGS.
Well, but I guess that's part of the good thing too, is that they actually, credit to them, not only are they appearing at basically every event possible, like cross countries, continents, and shit. They were literally in Cologne a few days ago, and now they're in Seattle.
Yeah, now they're chilling in fucking Seattle. Yeah.
And blessed be, they must be completely exhausted, but still, they not only do they have the content to be able to stretch out reveals, like, oh, in a month we're going to show you shit about Dante. Spoiler warning, I seriously doubt we're going to have a full picture of what Dante is at the TGS reveal. It's quite literally going to be maybe his HUD. That is probably the depth of what we're going to see. Maybe a bleed out to the degree of what we're seeing with Nero. Hopefully, at least.
I think what they're planning to do is, we were shown this game in May. May, June, July, now it's August. That's been 4 months, right? We got another 8 months till March. So if you really look at it, they've planned this out very smartly. First 4 months, they're going to focus on Nero. The next 4 months, they're going to focus on Dante. And then the last 4 months, while we wait until March, they're going to focus on the new character and the whole game itself. Then by the time they've done that, they focus on the 3 characters. They've shown and they've sold on what they can do. Then by the time this game is ready to be released, boom, everybody knows everything they need to know. When they pick up the game, they'll have a fun time, and yeah, all's done is done. Yeah, I feel like this game is pretty much what happens when investors, they just do the right thing and they just back away and let the game design.
I would actually really like to see or hear some type of explanation of what impact outside influences have had on this game's development. I would love to see that. Yeah, I would too.
That would really help with my game.
Yeah, just even just to have like a reasonable expectation of what like investors have had or what they've asked for. Although I'm not quite sure they're able to release that information, but still. Anyway, to wrap up some of the more specific questions retaining to this game, so I can get you out of here because you're in a much different time zone than me.
Oh no, dude! It's like 8:14, and I can keep going. I can keep going until 11 p.m. I can keep going for like another 8 hours, 12 hours.
Oh,
no, that's 14 hours. I can keep going, dude. But you sound like you wanna take a break.
I noticed in some of Daedron's gameplay that a lot of things that are giving you like this sort of floaty-ish air momentum is carrying you only so far, to the point to where it almost seems to be dependent on like your position relative to the enemy. Like if you were to do, like if you have a demon on the ground in DMC4 and you're Nero, you caliber to get the startup, you DT cancel to give yourself inertia. The inertia would carry you not only above but over the demon to the other side. So it's very impartial in that sense.
Yeah.
But here it's almost like it's only carrying you as far as you get close to the demon and then it stops. Is that an accurate assessment?
Depending on the height level of when you start caliber. If you jump and you start caliber, you can actually attack and you can go either past the enemy or you'll stop exactly where the enemy
is. Is that relating like specifically to inertia? Or is that just the way that caliber works?
No, it is inertia, but it's inertia plus anything stopping the inertia force. Because if there's an enemy right in front of it, then Nero will hit that and it will slow down a little bit. But talking about air gameplay, there were times where I was really close to hitting the ground, but I was still doing aerial rave, and then when my feet touched the ground, or rather, when Nero's feet touched the ground, it switched to a ground combat. I feel like the space, the minimum distance between Nero and the ground has been shrunk a little bit. So you can literally do aerial combats like aerial rave and split, like really just a little bit off the ground, and I think that opens a lot for aerial combat.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and it seems like in fact stalling you. So if we were to go back to what I was talking about earlier, where things like Overture or whatever battery was just not letting Nero lose height at all. It seems as though the same principle will apply even when you're right on the ground, which carries some interesting implications for people who want to do shit like ground or like land canceling. But that may very well just not even be a thing in this game. I don't know.
No. Like in this game, this is man, dude. I don't know how the hell, dude. Because there's some people that went to the same exact booth than I did. But then when I see on YouTube, they've recorded it and everything is like HD quality. Do I need like an AverMedia portable for that or something?
They get it
like how the hell do they record?
I think they got it on Media Day. That would make the most sense to me. I know.
God damn it.
It's on some fuck shit, but I respect hustle. I respect it.
Yo, dude. You know what? When I go to TGS, I'm gonna have a talk with Matt Walker. Yo, I need to get that. I don't care if it's not the full game. If it's a demo, that's good enough. I need to get that fucking build. I'll sign whatever the fuck I have to sign. I'm gonna buy a fucking AverMedia portable device. Yo, cause the thing is, there's this one footage where I lost it, but I high rollered, but then I did it from the ground, so it sent the enemy up. I jumped, and then I did an aerial rave on the enemy, and it hits them away now. It doesn't hit them down like it does in Devil May Cry 4. It hits them away diagonally. Right? And yeah, and I did that when I literally jumped off the ground and I started hitting the melee button as soon as Nero left the ground, and I was able to get one combo in before I started switching back into the
So to clarify something. Well, Breakaway. We can cover this really quickly. Breakaway doesn't have a negative edge component to it, does it?
It does, because you can use it in offense to switch to break combos and to send away enemies that are attacking you. But if you activate it too late, you will start, and if you miss the iframes and the attack of the enemy is like the scythe from the Hellkina, for example, it's on your body. Right as the iframes end, you will still get hit. So you have to be smart. You have to space your attacks out. You can't just like people who button mash and like are trying to rush everything. They're the ones that are gonna get screwed when play this game. Like you have to play it patiently and you have to plan everything out before you're attacking. And if you're freestyling, you have to be careful about what you're doing.
So when you press the button down,
it does instantaneously.
Not when you release it. All right.
Yep. As soon as you touch the button, boom.
So we've seen this a couple of times, but that I want to hear them. I want them to hear it from you. Can you cancel the dodge portion of shuffle with jump?
Yes, and also with you can also sidestep or dodge roll, and you can do everything like you did in Devil May Cry 4, like you dodge the first part and then you can start shooting.
Everything is like it is in DMC 4 vanilla,
much.
Where you don't need to have EX enabled, or you don't need to be playing in fucking 60 FPS or some bullshit.
Nope.
So that's functioning as intended.
Nope. Yep. Functioning as everything is intended. But it's smoother. It feels smoother. It feels... Because Devil May Cry 4, the best way I can feel it is that it feels tight. Like, everything feels so tight in Devil May Cry 4, which is a good thing. But in Devil May Cry 5, it feels like it's like when you're shooting a gun. In Devil May Cry 4, like everything, your whole body is tense, and when you're shooting, you're squeezing the trigger. But in Devil May Cry 5, like your body is loose, your hands are firm. They're not tight, but they're firm. When you pull the trigger, it's nice, fluid, and accurate. That's the best way to. That's the best analogy I can come with when it comes to the difference in feeling of Devil May Cry 4 and Devil May Cry 5. It's so smooth. It's like literally like. That's why I named one of the videos where I kill Goliath with the pedal rate. It's like literally cutting a room temperature block of butter with like a hot knife. It's just smooth. Like it's like the Resetera the leak was not lying. Like the words they're going for is fluid and smooth and streamlined. Like
so were there
it really
obviously
is.
taunts are a pretty interesting subject here because they once again have potential for utility, not just like the
yeah, not just for revving, but also for dodging as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the air taunt. It's basically
but also
like
the
your extra triple jump.
There's the one where you're reloading manually, or the one where you're throwing the bullets up into the air. Those cause color up to trigger. Is there a way to get that one in particular that you found, or is it just random?
It's random. It may not be random. There might be a certain way to trigger it. I've tried many different ways to get that taunt to trigger, like holding the color up, like holding the gun button and then doing the taunt, reaching certain ranks and then doing the taunt. I've done it at D rank. I've done it outside of combat. I've done it at triple S. I've done it at S rank. All that really is that in order to trigger that taunt, you have to have no bullets. That's all I know. Actually, no, there was this one time where I had one bullet and then it refreshed too. Okay, you have to have at least one empty bullet. That's all I know. For the hoodie taunt, I don't know how to do that. That was in the demo for sure. I saw the video, but
do you suspect it was in the demo, or was that in a different build?
I wish I did.
Because that was that direct capture footage from these people, I think from Brazil, or from Mexico. They were like they were Latin games journalists, so you know they had the hookup, or maybe they were just from Spain, and I'm just a fucking idiot. One of the two.
That's also true because in the Xbox Gamescom demo, the one they also showed at PAX, the gameplay, it had the Buster arm. So, and they were also trying to hide some spoiler stuff. So it's possible that it wasn't in the demo. I'm not sure. Actually. Now that I think about it, potentially, yeah, that's true. I don't know. All I know is that I've taunted a lot throughout my gameplays. I did not see the hoodie once. It should have popped up at least once. If it was enemy specific, it should have popped up at least once. We just have a couple more viewer
questions, and then we're going to get to some miscellaneous stuff, and then we can wrap it all up. Overall, and I'm sure this is possible, but did you ever get an occurrence where you jump canceled caliber before any damage or knockback was dealt? Like, did you just use it for gap closing purposes? Yep.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. There were times where I only used it for gap closing purposes. There were times where I wanted to. This was a failure on my part, because the thing is, what I wanted to do was I wanted to caliber, and then I wanted to do the overture arm battery, right? The hand thing, that's called battery. But actually, what you're supposed to do is, because by the time you hit caliber, you've already spent your gap closer, and you've hit the enemy away. So what you should be doing is battery and then caliber, or caliber, JC, and then battery immediately. But I don't know why. Maybe the fluency from my brain to sending my commands to my hands aren't very good. But yeah, I figured out that like way too late.
Well,
and I only
that sort of does it for overall viewer questions. We pretty much, in some way, shape, or form, touched on everything overall.
Yeah. The one thing I also want to add in terms of the feeling of the air in the combat and doing jump cancel combos is that knowing it's good that I know that you follow Kingdom Hearts, because if you watch the Kingdom Hearts 3, you notice everything is so floaty, right? No, not in this game. Like when you're like there's a weight to it. When you jump, there's like this slight pause. and it feels heavy. It feels really strong. It feels like jump canceling doesn't feel like you just jumped out of something. Like it feels like you're a toad jumping from a leaf to leaf. No, in here it feels like a commitment when you really jump cancel, and it feels really nice and really heavy. And also, when you're in the air, you're in the air because you're doing moves. Like it's not just like when you're in DMC Devil May Cry where you're using the Ophion whip to either bring yourself to the enemy or bring the enemy to you. Like it's not like that. Like it's when you're in the air, you really are. It feels like Devil May Cry 4 all over again, where everybody wanted to learn how to do combos in the air and stay in the air, and being airborne was your own reward. It really feels like that again.
So a couple people
starting to sound like
Make
Trump
Devil
there.
May Cry
Make
great
Devil
again.
May Cry great again.
So, what are your thoughts, at least, on having to no damage a mission in order to achieve an S rank?
Yeah. The thing is, do you know what this anime called
No, I do
Tekka
not.
Man? Okay. The only thing you need to understand is that this guy, he has his armor, and the more the armor gets damaged, the stronger he gets. And watching a lot of Saint Seiya when I'm a kid, like getting no damage is like it's like a special day for me. I go out and I treat myself to a meal. That's like getting no damage is really really hard because my playstyle is extremely aggressive. Like I don't care about getting damaged. I will kill my enemy. Like that's my playstyle. And getting no damage requires a lot of patience and it requires a lot of planning and it requires a lot of focus and attention. I have the focus and attention, but I do not have the patience. That's why it took me almost 40 something tries before I got my first S rank because I needed to have no damage for that demo in order to S rank it. And the other thing is that it judges the 3 fights, and even if I didn't get no damage for those fights, and even if I triple S'd, I got the triple S within the first 5 to 10 seconds and I kept wailing away and going at them, I could never get S rank.
I don't know what the hell they're looking for. I honestly have no clue.
Zones for some reason. No, I think this demo was specifically tailored so that you cannot get an S rank without getting damaged. I don't know if it's going to be like this in the final game. Because me too. And then you know in the old games like in Devil May Cry 4, there's time, points and like item used or something and then they go like SSA or SSS. This time I think they're sticking with the Devil May Cry 1 system where it's just like D to S, and then if you complete certain requirements, they give you extra points and extra orbs, like the special bonus, the boss ranking, the secret mission bonus, etc. from Devil May Cry 1. So yeah, they've literally gotten the best thing from every single Devil May Cry game, and they've tried to make like the epitome of all Devil May Cry games.
Well, with that said, in the overall, the floor is yours on this one. Completely. If there is anything else that you wanted to touch on in regards to this demo that we didn't get to here, I would only ask that you bring it up. Because this is not for me, this is for the people listening.
Okay, yeah, there are certain things I wanted to do, and a lot of them were related to the Goliath parrying. The charge parrying and the fireball parrying. The thing is, enemies in this game, when they start attacking you, in previous games, if you attack them, they stagger, and it cancels the attack. For the Hellcana, that when even if you slash them, you will get punished. They will just go through with the attack, and they'll slice you up. But for the Goliath parry, the only one I got to record properly was the fireball with the high roller. I wanted the overture one. I tried and I failed to keep the footage because the SD card was damaged. But the overture one doesn't work. I want to get video footage for that. I want to try both the Gerbera, the push thing, and the jockey. The other thing I also want to try is um, does it have to be high roller, or can it be any slash of all of Nero's combos that can reflect the fireball? Yeah, like can I if I have enough distance and I timed it and I put the correct spatial distance between me and the fireball, when I caliber and I time it right, would the caliber send the fireball back? Would the split when I come down send the fireball back? Those are the only things I wanted to really try, but didn't get the time to. Or rather forgot to, because I was having so much fun. I was just like, yeah. By the time I killed the Goliath, I'm just like, yo, shit, I forgot to test out the fireball. Shit, I killed him too quick. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing, though, isn't it? Because something that's, like, on a side note, that's always been in the back of my mind as to whether or not I would actually go back to DMC 4, even after the release of 5, is that the fuck around factor in 4 is just 4 vanilla specifically is just too strong. Like the character control and all that just feels too natural to me at this point for me to go away from it. But to know that 5 has its own version of that where you can just boot up without a strong intention in the back of your head, like you're going to create a combo mat or you're going to do a boss fight, simply playing it can yield a similar feeling. That's very encouraging to hear.
The other thing I really want to say about this game is that actually a lot of the people that came, quite a number of them, they're actually people that have been watching Devil May Cry videos, but they've never really played a Devil May Cry game, and I really hope that those people really jump into Devil May Cry 5 and really enjoy themselves and hopefully even take the time to learn more advanced stuff, because I hope one day when enough players have enough skill levels, we might be even able to get like a PvP Devil May Cry game where no one dies, but everyone is fighting each other and everyone's testing out like what's the best combos we can use on each other. And then I think having a system where there's no health involved, but there's just a time limit and you just like try to fuck each other up as much as you can, as stylishly as possible, and you can like upload it to the internet and you can still have fun whether you win or whether you lose. I think having a system like that when there's a player base with a high enough skill level, I think that's something I hope maybe. I don't think Devil May Cry 5 is going to have any PvP, but I think maybe if one day there's a Devil May Cry 6, I hope that gameplay system or like that mode will be there. Because multiplayer Devil May Cry has been a long fucking time coming. And I mean a long ass time.
I don't know, I have to think on that for a bit. Because my initial reaction is no.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, co-op on Bayonetta 2 is fucking fun.
Oh, well, multiplayer, absolutely. Like, co-op is one thing, but...
Oh, but like, PvP.
Yeah, PvP specifically is something completely different to me. But I don't want to, like, rain on anyone's parade without having, like, actually nailing down my own position on it. So I won't bug anybody with that here. But, no, man, that's... it's interesting to hear that a lot of people haven't really gotten into the series play-wise yet. And if anything, maybe I should just fucking do an introductory technique video for people heading into DMC 5.
Yeah, that's something I actually kind of wanted to do, because the guy that I taught how to do caliber and shuffle, one of them, they actually contacted me on Twitter for like Devil May Cry 4 tips, and I linked to you, Chaser Tech, Alex DMD4, and everyone, and I'm just like, how many more people like him that have been watching Devil May Cry and have always wanted to get in and like maybe played it casually and have always wanted to do these like amazing combos but just never knew who to talk to and never knew how to do it? Just how many more people are there? And the more I think about it, I'm just like, I think a lot of people actually want to get into Devil May Cry, but they've been intimidated by it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I hope that like this game will be the one to like convince them to like, yeah, just don't be scared, give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, Richard, RK,
Yeah.
thank you so much for making the time out to actually sit down and speak for... How long was this? Oh, it was only
This
3.5
was a total of
hours.
3 hours and 30 minutes, I think.
That's not that bad. 3.5?
Dude, if it comes to Devil May Cry, like the lore, the backstory, the people that are involved for all of the, even the reboot, like I could talk for like days. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, like our community is seriously. I don't think there's any other game community that's like well, at least when it comes to single player. LOL is a different thing, but when it comes to single player games, I think like us Devil May Cry fans are like the fucking craziest. And I wear that badge with honor. I'm
Richard.
like sure like everyone else does.
Oh, absolutely. 110%. It's important that people find... Because I think about this a lot, because I befriend a lot of speedrunners who run, like, obviously, KH, fucking
Like BizKit
Dax.
and all that shit.
Yeah, BB is my... We're probably rooming together at GDQ. Fucking Ace is over here.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I've known BB for a long time.
Oh, really? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Who have I gotten
Dax.
myself involved with? Dax too? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I should come to GDQ.
It's amazing. It's a great time. If you can come down, abso-fucking-lutely.
Yo, when the game releases, I better do fucking speed run before Alex DMD4 fucking does everything. That guy fucking wrecks that guy's Exceed timing. I've never seen anyone master Exceed, like max act, like he does. He knows how to like chain level 3 calibers like 5 times in a row. That's fucked.
Oh yeah. That to me, in my mind at least, just shows the difference in mentality or of game goal. Because if people, and I don't want to take anything away from Alex by saying this, but I do believe it to be accurate, that more players would be more centric around specific X-act and max-act timings if they felt that it would have helped them accomplish any given goal that they had. However, it is worth pointing out that from a speedrunning perspective, that shit is OD.
Yeah.
So it's super useful.
Yeah.
But no, that just speaks to the many different ways of development and improvement that exist in these games. And that's a big portion of what makes them special, and that's what helped Devil May Cry 4 last this long. And it's what's going to help it probably continue to exist after 5 comes out, just like 3. Exactly, just like 3.
But I think after Devil May Cry 5 comes out, people will only go back to Devil May Cry 4 just to see, like, how was it like back in the day? And they'll be like, yo, fuck, I loved Devil May Cry 4, but I can't go back to this.
Well, I'm not so... I was talking to BB, actually, because he asked me, or just, like, he just asked the chat in general, like, if there was even a point to going back to DMC 4 in preparation to 5. And to me, obviously, I was like, well, absolutely. No question. Even just to experience what a system is like that sustains itself for 11 years on half a game's worth of content. Yeah,
that's the most amazing part. It wasn't even finished and it lasted this long. Imagine what a fully realized successor would be like.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So there is a lot. And there will continue to be, avenues for improvement in all of these games, the reboot included, very much so included, after 5 releases. Yeah. It's just good that we get to keep adding new things to that, starting fresh and all this, getting new people in because it's an exciting new game. Yeah. It's exciting times, and it's a position that I don't think a lot of people were expecting to be in. But now it's like DMC 5's coming out and Bayonetta 3 is still waiting for a gameplay reveal. Exactly. I don't want to speak too soon, but it seems like action games are, finally making a serious... Or this specific type of action game is just making a solid comeback.
A more extreme action combat, right? Yeah.
And that's very encouraging to see. So, Overall, yeah. It's this
This is the right timeline.
This is the brightest timeline right here.
Yeah.
We're in it.
The only thing we need now is a public demo.
That's it. That's quite literally it. And it genuinely wouldn't surprise, because they fucking know. I hope they know. Well, they
they know.
Of course they fucking know.
No, I told Matt Walker, I'm just like, let me download this. I'll pay 50 euros for the fucking build right now. And he was just like, we're working on it.
Oh, he said we're working on it?
Well, I don't want to quote him because I don't have the actual recorded footage, because I was surprised that they even came down to the booth because they were so busy. But they said that they know. That's all. That's the only thing I can confirm. They know.
All right.
And I'm sure he's actually reading a lot of stuff on Twitter, and because Twitter is really big in Japan, because Twitter has this lifeline thing, so that whenever an earthquake or something happens, like everybody will know instantly. So that's one of the main reasons why Twitter is really huge in Japan. But yeah, he's always checking on Twitter, and people have tweeted him, "Yo, where's the demo? Where's the demo? Where's the demo? Where's the demo?" Especially after Gamescom. And that's what made me think. Maybe it's because the PS4, like, they probably want to make a demo for and release it alongside the PS4 to not make it seem like it's unfair. Like, that's the only reason I could think that they didn't release it yet. But maybe they're waiting to do the public demos for, like, the major locations in the West and in Asia. And then after they've done that, they're going to release a public demo. Because, yeah, I think the demo might come out could be November or December, something like that. Like a couple months before release.
Richard, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for
no problem
spending it with me. I will definitely keep in touch. No reason not
definitely.
to.
Invite me to the Discord. I'm in two Devil May Cry Discords now. There's one with Nax, who worked on Street Fighter V and stuff, and then now I got invited to the Resetera Discord. Invite me. I want to see all these Devil May Cry peeps.
Oh, there's not there's not like a Discord that I'm in that's for DMC.
Oh, I'm not even in general.
I'm straight up not even in the Resetera Discord. I was invited to it. I showed up and I was like, I don't fucking know anybody. So I bolted. The only Discord I'm in a regular basis is just my personal one. And I don't even own it.
Yeah, because I'll be going to TGS, so we're going to have to do this fucking 4-hour, 5-hour fucking podcast one more time.
Absolutely.
September. Yeah. All right.
By then we'll have much better information. And absolutely, there's no problem with return guests. Shit, I want to see if I can get fucking Chaser back on at some point.
Yeah, dude. Dude, if it went for fucking Chaser and Turtle Sensei and shit, who didn't make those videos, it didn't help me while I was barely known or anything, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this shit. Like, it's props to those guys, really.
Fuck you, Chaser. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a good day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
And please make sure to check out the episode after this with Daedron.
Yep. I'm going to be watching that, too.
All right, guys. You be good. Richard, you be good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vash. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.